Okay, we should be on. This is Almost
Yep.
Human Live with the Almost Humanoids. And we got a very special guest this week. We got Tim here, Durling, right? I'm half blind. I'm sorry.
No,
Tim,
that's right. No, you got it. That's how you say it.
all right, cool. Tim Darling, we're going to talk about some of his books, especially his new one with about April wine. And I do want to bring this one up, the Kansas book, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Um, but before we get into the interview with Tim Darling, there's quite a few people that have been asking me, "Hey, are you going to do news about Ritchie Blackmore joining Deep Purple last night?" And I'm like, "Well, if I do a news report on that, what is it going to be? 3 minutes?" He came out and did Smoke on the Water, and it was great. So I figured, let me talk about it with the panel. I will
Yeah.
first say, man, if I wasn't such a man, I would have cried. It was beautiful. It was awesome. I mean, you can tell, he doesn't really have the full,
Yeah.
blistering rock that he used to have because he's been playing acoustic for so long. But still, it was sufficient. The solo was awesome. It was different than the original solo. But Blackmore always improvises
That's
guitar.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never stuck to the same shit. And then he seemed like, wow, that doesn't seem like Blackmore. He seems a little too nice on stage, Where before he was like the mystery man in black on the side of the stage, looking pissed off, and here he's embracing his March Menaces. Ian Gillan, who mainly him and Ritchie had the biggest problems in the band, and but there they were best of friends, and it was beautiful. I thought it was great because Ritchie reached out, going, "Hey, can I just play one song?" And they said, "Yeah, man," which is great, and what's also great about it, but that's just a um, little thing on me, is that when Deep Purple was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Blackmore didn't go, but Blackmore showed up at a Deep Purple concert. See that shit? That shit's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I felt about it. Tim, you're our guest. What did you think about it?
I never ever thought it would happen, and it's really cool to see at this point in their lives that, hey man, just do it. They and but I still never thought it would happen. But you know what? Just as it was very kind of on brand for Ritchie not to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's also very on brand for him to do something totally unexpected out of the blue. It's not like this had been planned for months and months and months, and everybody was talking about it. It was like a few days, right? And then it actually happened. And I'm pumped because I'm going to see Deep Purple in Kansas in from when we're filming 2 nights from now in Halifax. And I know Blackmore's not going to be there, but I'm still excited about it. So, but no, it was good to see. And Ian and Ritchie arm in arm, and yeah, it was. I mean, there's just like I understand, like it's like what like I didn't talk about it either. Like, well, we everybody saw the same thing, and that it is what it is. There's no deeper meaning. It was just cool. And it was cool to see. It was cool that it happened. If it never happens again, hey, it happened once. In 2026, who would have thought you'd have, Ian Gillan and Ritchie Blackmore, Roger Glover, and Ian Pace on stage together again?
And no rehearsal, by the way.
Yeah.
They didn't rehearse at all. And
And
yeah,
the other thing is, I'm also, I think in older times, the old Ritchie would have told Simon McBride to get off the stage, but he didn't.
yeah,
So,
yeah. He respects them. Like, did you hear the little interview he did before he announced he was going on stage? Uh,
no.
it's a hilarious interview. Candace is interviewing him, and he goes, "Look, I'm going to give you all a little secret, but don't tell nobody. I'm going on stage with Deep Purple tomorrow, but let's keep it our secret." But he also mentioned how amazing Simon McBride is, great guitar, and he also gave props to Steve Morris. And
Cool.
Killer.
and
I didn't
not
see that.
yeah, it's on YouTube. And not too long ago, it's not a video, it's just audio. But not too long ago, there's a video of him praising Tommy Bolin. You know, Blackmore, I think, has softened a lot.
Oh yeah. Big
Yeah.
But
time.
also, Blackmore said, like back in the old days, he goes, "I like being known as a dick, so nobody will come up to me." You know, and a lot of people say he's not really a dick. He just doesn't like interacting with strangers. But I saw pictures today of some people, some people I don't know that are posing with Ritchie, which seems to be backstage, and Ritchie's holding a drink and he's all smiles and shit. I've never
Yeah.
seen a picture of
No,
Ritchie.
you'd never see that days
Yeah,
past. That just
you
wouldn't
never
happen.
would.
So
And
I got a picture with him not too long ago, and he was super friendly, and he's definitely like been so different since he's been with Candace. Really, like you go back for
Yeah.
years, his interviews have been cool for years. He likes drinking, and once he gets drinking, he starts talking. He has his little bar. Those interviews where he's had his own bar there, but they were inviting everybody to come back. It was a pouring rain night when I seen him, but they were inviting everybody to come back and hang out for a while because it was like the last night of like four shows that they were doing, and they were up to hanging out, but it was like a thunderstorm, so we have to get out of there. But yeah, he seems like he's been cool for.
by the way, I just saw Kansas and Deep Purple this past Sunday.
I
Yeah,
saw
I
that
saw him
you'd
a
posted that.
week ago.
I didn't want to watch because I don't want any spoilers. I want to be surprised by the set list. I
Oh,
mean,
I ain't gonna say nothing, but I went to the show and really enjoyed it.
Hey
here's the
Ralph,
thing.
I think Al Horter's trying to get. I had
Yeah,
invited him
yeah,
on. I forgot to
yeah.
send him
So
the
I
link.
thought there was somebody else that was going to be on here.
Oh, he just popped up. I just
All
saw
right.
it before you said
Yeah.
it. But
But the thing is I mean, let's put it this way. I like Deep Purple, but I love Kansas. So it's almost a bonus that I'm getting Deep Purple, but I've been
well,
wanting.
well,
You're gonna love it.
Tim, I can and Tony saw it as well, but I'm sure Tony has a different opinion of me. I don't know, Tim. You might have the same opinion of me, and I'm not spoiling anything for you. It's up to you to decide. But honestly, I thought Kansas was better, and Deep Purple was awesome. They were awesome, but man, Kansas was so freaking tight. It was unbelievable. And I've seen, unfortunately, I never got to see Kansas with Steve Walsh and Kerry Livgren. But I've seen them a lot with Phil Ehart and Rich Robinson. Now there's nobody there, but
Yeah,
there's
I saw them. I saw Kansas once in 1994, and that would have been actually Phil wasn't there. I can't remember the drummer's name, but Phil had got married, um, and I should know the guy's name that filled in for him, but it wasn't him. But then it was David Ragsdale and Greg Robert on keyboards and Billy Greer, Rich Williams, and the great Steve Walsh. And it was essentially the Freaks of Nature lineup, except Phil wasn't there. But that was '94, and they've never come. It's been like that long since they've been anywhere close to my area. So this is and I have really gotten into Deep Purple with their last couple of albums because I think their last
oh,
couple of albums have been as good as anything that they've done. Like I'm surprised myself at how much I'm enjoying. I still listen to Equals One all the time, and Splat I'm not liking it quite as much yet, but it's getting there. But they're just both really strong albums.
well,
Yeah.
I'm with you 100%. I thought Equals One was the best album of that year.
Me too.
Whatever year
And
that was.
I never thought I'd have a Deep Purple album at the top of my list, but it's the one I listen to the most. The other thing I was thinking about, you go through all these conversations about bands that have had all these different band members. If for some fluke reason Steve Morse shows up in Halifax, would it be the first time in history that a guy has shown up on stage and jammed with two bands that he used to be in on the same night?
Wow, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be interesting.
But
What did you think about it, Tony? The Blackmore.
I was waiting last night for some video to come up. I was like, thank goodness we've got cell phone cameras now because people can film this and
I
we'll see it.
I'm pro cell phone. I know a lot of people aren't, but a lot of people that are against cell phones, they're there the next day to watch that footage on
oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially something like this where everybody can't be there,
I
And
don't I
I mean,
don't
how many times have you heard about historical moments in rock
yeah.
and roll that you go, God, I wish there was some film footage
I
of
wish
that,
Or
wish there was a cell phone when Ozzy bit the head off that bat.
well, how about
Yeah,
or how about this? How about things that people are debating whether it actually happened or not?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
like there was always that story that Gene when Kiss took their makeup off, Gene spit blood once. Now I don't think that's true, but there was always that rumor. And if somebody had footage of it, it's like put up or shut up. there's the footage.
Yeah.
Here it is
You
from two
know,
or three different angles. Now, can we quit talking about it? Or,
Tim, I interviewed Gene once and I asked him that question. And he said, I don't remember.
and that's probably true. Like this probably, to them it was
No
just
one
another
in.
night on the road, right?
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be that first show that was professionally filmed.
Yeah.
Uh, that you can see, what is it? Creatures and another song on there.
Is that the one that's on Kissology
Yeah.
2? Where they're in
Yeah.
Portugal or something?
Yeah. That was the first show without makeup.
Yeah. Yeah, that was some cool footage. I wish they'd filmed that entire show because Helix opened for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
I thought
right.
it was I thought it
That's
was cool though, man. I was expecting more than one song. I thought, oh, he'll probably come out and do Lazy because that's something he could really improvise in, and that way he and Simon could be on stage at the same time. That would have been so cool to see the two of them going back and forth or something. But this was unrehearsed, and I guess he just said, well, I'll just do one song and we'll do Smoke on the Water. And the way they play Smoke on the Water, and they didn't rehearse it. There was a part where it stops suddenly and Ian gets the crowd to sing the chorus and Ritchie was still playing because I mean hell he didn't know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they may have said we do a stop here and he may have not remembered. But it was so cool to see him and Ian standing next to each other, goofing back and forth. And then
Yeah.
when Ian made that little speech about getting the message from Ritchie about coming to the show. That was really cool. And I thought it was kind of funny that he hands Ian his guitar and walks off.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Ian Gillan's standing there holding the guitar.
I don't think I realized what a height difference there was with those two guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
he said, how'd you get so tall? And he goes, I think you're shrinking, is what he told
Yeah.
Ritchie.
Yeah. I think you're shrinking, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was cool. It was just one of the wow, it actually happened.
Yeah.
What'd you think? What'd you think, Wayne?
I think I was pissed off because I did not go to the show because it's right in my backyard. I actually forgot
Wow.
about it, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And you guys know I just got into Deep Purple pretty much like within the last year or two, so it would have been a really cool thing to see. But seeing it on YouTube was really awesome. I just wish he'd picked a different song because that was kind of like the obvious choice. Very easy, doesn't have to practice it or anything. But
That
You
was
know
probably
what?
that was probably the whole point, something.
yeah,
But I just had a funny thought because Blackmore wrote so many songs with the same notes. It'd be funny
right.
if by mistake he started Man on the Silver Mountain by
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah,
It's the same series of notes, just a slightly different order.
right.
He said
But
he
still.
said like, in one of the interviews like, or something before he was saying how I haven't played rock and roll in 25 years, but every night when Blackmore's night plays, he does a thing where he sits down. This is another thing about him being cool and like different these days. He sits down and lets the crowd shout out song titles, and he just plays like a riff or two from it, and then he goes,
On
"What
the
else you
electric
want to
guitar.
hear?" Yeah, he sat
Yeah,
there
I
fucking
saw him.
doing fucking
Yeah.
Rainbow and tons of Deep Purple stuff, and I thought it was like these guys are saying, like very unrehearsed, and it seemed like that to me. It seemed a little slow, but who gives a fuck about how it sounds? I think it was great that he took his Gillen's arm and he like slaps his guitar. It's not about
Yeah, it's
judging how it sounds. It was
more,
all about the
more
moment,
about
the
the
idea
moment.
of
Yeah,
them
yeah.
being on
Yeah.
stage together, and that would have been that is what's great about it. It's kind of like when Pink Floyd got back together for that Live 8 thing. It wasn't like a big giant show or nothing, but they got on stage one last time and they only played like a few songs, but it was cool that it happened for the people that got to see that one last time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so cool.
Or Led Zeppelin, like everybody's like, oh, they never got back together and did a tour. They got back and did an entire concert. So
Yeah.
that's more than a lot of people do.
Yep, made it a movie, a DVD, and
Yeah.
live album,
Mhm.
celebration day. That's what it's about, celebrating the live,
What about Al? Hey, Al.
Oh, hey guys.
Ow.
Well, I went to go see Deep Purple here in Clearwater on Saturday, and phenomenal show the day before that Ralph saw him, and both Kansas and Deep Purple were great, man. I thought Ian sang great, probably the best I heard him sing in a long time. I've seen them quite a few times already, from the Steve Morse lineup till now. So I saw them with Simon McBride in New Jersey before they even did the equals
Equals
one
one.
album came out before he did an album with them, which was cool. Uh, the footage that from last night, I it was awesome. It was just so great to see. I mean, if I lived in New Jersey still, I would have probably made the trek out to Long Island to go see it, man. You know, just to be able to witness that. Um, it was always a hellish drive going from New Jersey to Jones Beach, though. I'll tell you that, man. Anytime I've ever gone there, but I would have made sure I would have probably took off of work that day and went early. So, but yeah, it was cool to see them on stage again after all those years. Um, am I on mute here? Or are you hearing me?
I hear
I
you.
hear
We
you.
hear
Oh
you.
yeah.
Why it says mute on my oh,
No, we hear you
We
fine,
hear
bro.
you.
Okay.
Hear you, man.
If you don't mind, why don't you put yourself on mute? Just kidding.
um I got I kind of got a little emotional at the end when Ian was like, you know, doing a little speech at the end after the song was over. It was pretty cool. Very nice
Yeah.
words of his. I would have been cool like if he would have stayed out there for the rest of the set at least and did maybe they could have switched out that what's the song the newer song that they did in the encore.
I think it was Diablo, no?
Guinness or
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah,
Genesis.
Guinnesses. And maybe put like another, you know, Blackmore era song in there or something, or maybe move Lazy down, like you were saying, Tony. Maybe move Lazy down to that spot,
Well, let me ask.
and Hush too, and he could have did Hush too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, let me ask you. So when I saw him in Raleigh, the first day of the tour, it was in Raleigh, a couple weeks back, and they ended with it was Smoke on the Water, and then it was Hush, and that was it.
no, they did Guinnesses when I
They
saw them.
must have added some stuff since then. Plus, they were running behind because there's a curfew at that amphitheater because it's right downtown Raleigh. It's usually 10 o'clock. But I
Yeah,
heard they were going to let them run to like 10:20 or something. So maybe they just decided just to go ahead and axe it or whatever. Because I don't
yeah.
know what was going on, but it took Kansas went on about 20 minutes late, and then it seems like Deep Purple went on 20 minutes late as well. It was just weird.
When I
It-
saw them in Clearwater, they had an opener even before. It wasn't the opener for you was Jefferson Starship, right?
Jefferson Starship,
That's
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
that's who we're getting.
they had some guy, just some local guy on acoustic, but he was cool as he was just jamming like just covers like by himself, like he was doing like Kashmir and shit like that, dude. And he was good, but he was just like a local opener. Then Kansas came on, but they all went on. It started at 6:30 when I went with the opener, and then Kansas, and I think it was over by like I think they have to have a curfew there too. It's an amphitheater right on the water, but there's like hotel there and all that. But I think they got to be done by like 10 there. So, but they all got their sets in and didn't cut anything. You know, it was all on
I,
time. So,
my my show had an opening act too. It was a band called Severed Angel.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, they did the show behind the drummer's back. They had Ricky Rock. Ricky Rocket was filling in.
Oh wow.
I need to check them
Yeah.
out. Sounds like a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cool
it was
band.
pretty cool. I was like,
um,
oh, this is better if Wayne was. It's better if Wayne was in here.
going back to Kansas, the first time I saw them was mid 2000s. So I did get to see him with Steve Walsh, which was cool, you know.
How
And
was he though? How was he? Was he? Because the thing I love about Steve Walsh is like, dude, I'm not going out there to embarrass myself no more. I can't.
no, he still sounded good in the mid 2000s. He still had a
Okay.
great voice, sounded great. So I mean, shit, that's over 20 years ago already. So,
I
and then
don't
I
know
saw
why. I have no idea why I never saw Kansas. I mean, it was my first rock album I bought back in 1976. Was Left Overture. It was.
did they
It's
play a lot down in Florida like that during that
Yeah,
time?
yeah. And like,
Huh.
well, in the early days when they did come and I was aware they're coming, I had no friends that liked Kansas, and I didn't drive yet because I was
Yeah,
too.
okay.
So I had, and then I remember they played one time the horse track. This was 90s, and I didn't go, and it was a free show.
Mm.
And Kerry Livgren and Steve Walsh were both there.
That's
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And I blew it. I blew it. I saw Kansas many times after that. And I got to tell you, man, they're always amazing live. But honestly, I thought the best show that I've ever seen them play was the last one open.
I I am such a huge fan of their last two albums, and I mean, somebody said to me, said, "You're more excited to see Kansas than Deep Purple," and I said, "Which band did I write a book about?" I
Yeah,
Yeah.
love Deep Purple. I respect the hell out of Deep Purple, but
right here, man.
I like them. I'm a bigger fan of the music of Kansas for whatever reason, and I think they should be headlining shows.
Well, Tim, I'm not a huge Kansas fan. I know most of the hits and stuff, and seeing them the other week, I've seen them a couple of times live. Actually, I actually worked for them. I remember they did a tour with Yes once, and I worked as a runner
Oh
for
yeah, it
that
was around
show.
2000, 2001, I think.
Yeah, hmm
Here you
and
go.
so I've seen them a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah,
times. With
those two
awesome.
albums are great.
Fantastic.
and
Yeah.
and my I have a few Kansas records. One of my favorite Kansas records is Power, the '80s one. It's very,
That was my
very
introduction. That's the
AOR.
first time I ever
Yeah,
heard of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when I saw them the other week with Deep Purple, and I was noticing, well, there's no original guys up here. Of course, Richard came out and did a couple of songs with them. He didn't do
Yeah.
the whole set. But they introduced the band, and they said the singer was Ronnie Platt, I think is his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
going, where have I heard that name? And it kept ringing in my head. And on the way home, I said, I think he was in Shooting Star.
He was. Yeah.
And yeah, he's
Yeah.
not on the early stuff, but he's on
Right.
like some of the early '90s records that they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
I always
great.
like
He's a
that
great
band's
singer.
kind of very reminiscent of Kansas too. Shooting Star
That's a
was.
band that I got to check out one of these days because I keep hearing about them. Like, this sounds like a
First
band
two
I
albums,
like.
man,
Yeah.
amazing. First two records, love them. Yeah.
This is the third time I've seen Kansas down here in Florida because they do play a lot of shows down here in Florida. The first time I saw them in Florida, not too long after I moved here, that's Steve Morse came out and played with them, which was awesome. They still had Phil on drums. He played only half the show, I believe, and he played like the sec. They did two sets, so I think he played the second set, and the Rich Williams was there. Rich
Mhm.
Williams wasn't at this last one, but he was on the second time I saw him at the Hard Rock here in Tampa as well. So it looks like he just recently kind of retired from touring. This is their last. This is their last album here, the CD. This is a
Yeah.
double. This is a CD and a DVD, which has the surround sound of the album,
I have that as well.
which is cool. So it's
I
I love this album. It's great.
I was so excited when I ordered it from the website. I ordered a friggin' coffee mug. And I interviewed the lady that did this cover art too. That's in the book, and
And
she
here's
sent me
Tim's book, and here's
this
Tim's book on it.
thank you. She sent me this great big poster she did for their anniversary. I've got it hanging on my door here. So yeah, but I mean, Deep Purple. I mean, that's the rock royalty. That's the roots of just about every band that we've ever liked, right? It's Deep
Right.
Purple.
Much,
You
yeah.
know.
Yep.
Mhm.
Does any of the band members ever like reply to your book, or you get any kind of feedback from any of the books that
So,
you've written?
not much. As far as Kansas, I've talked to Tom Brislin, their keyboard player. I actually interviewed him about the absence of presence, and so I sent him a copy of the book, and then I've got some quotes. I from via email. I spoke with John Elephant, but very briefly, I asked him a few questions, and they ended up in the book, and I sent him a copy of the book. The coolest thing about the Kansas book is that a couple of guys um, that live in, well, Topeka, I guess, knew Kerry Livgren and where he lived, and they presented him with a copy of my book, and he posted about it on his Facebook, and I thought, well, that's Mr. Kansas. I
Yeah.
mean, that was a pretty big deal. I've never spoken to him, but that was a huge seal of approval. I mean, that's not why I do these. I'd hate, it would suck if somebody said, I don't like it. I don't like the book you wrote about me or something, because there's nothing negative in them. It's just opinions about the music, and it's trying to spread the word about the music. So I haven't heard much. I mean, as far as the Y&T book, I interviewed John Nyman and Aaron Lee. I'd love to chat with Dave Menichetti, but that hasn't happened yet, but it might happen someday, but who knows?
Sammy Hagar didn't send you a bottle of tequila.
No, but Bill Church liked it. Bill Church liked the book.
Cool. Have you read Bill's book?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
good. He
yeah.
did it with Martin Popoff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
funny.
so many good,
I've talked
so
to
many good
Martin about
stories.
that. I've talked to Martin about that. He said, I don't know why he insisted my name was on that book. It's his book, but
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good read. I mean, I had no idea that guy had so much history. I mean, he's the baseline on like Tupelo Honey and Wild Night from Van Morrison. I mean, just
oh yeah, people
classics,
know.
man.
Yeah, people know his
Yeah,
playing that have no idea they
yeah.
know his
Just don't know
playing.
his
Yeah,
the Electric Church, man.
yeah.
That dude's and
The Ted
his
Templeman book
son.
is good too.
Yeah, I want to read that.
Yeah,
Bill's son
yeah.
Trevor has a
Trevor.
band called Haunt.
Yeah.
It's a metal band called Haunt. That's like a traditional metal band. Pretty cool. Yeah, the legacy lives on in that family. That's for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
so Tim, your new book is about the great Canadian band April Wine. Boy, you talk about a band that goes way back. Now, I didn't know because I got into April Wine during First Glance and Harder, Faster, and Nature of the Beast. That was my era of getting into them. And it wasn't until I think it was until the internet came around, I found out this is not only a band from the early 70s, but they even had a song I knew. Should Have Been a Lady, right? Is
Yep.
that the name of it?
Could have been a lady. Yeah,
Could have been a lady. I was
that
like,
was a
I knew it.
US. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a US top 40 single in 1972. Yeah, they formed in 69. But that's very understandable, like if you're in the States, because First Glance is when they came up on a lot of people's radar. But yeah, that was their seventh album. And their first album came out in 71, but it didn't get released uh in the States or anywhere else other than Canada. They have a couple albums like that, um but yeah, First Glance is really when they arrived, internationally. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. And that's one of the reasons, it's why I do a lot of these books. I want people to realize, April Wine, yeah, okay, a few of their songs or whatever. They've got 16 studio albums. They've probably got more albums than you thought they did.
Oh yeah.
A
Yeah,
lot of,
I just
Here's First
well,
Glance here.
if, for those that don't know, not much about April Wine. I think they had one of the first proto thrash songs ever, a song called Crash and
Crash
Burn.
and Burn. Yeah, I mean, that was
That
pretty
song, that song's total thrash. Total thrash.
for a mainstream rock album on a major label in 1981. Yeah, that's pretty high up on the BPMs. I mean,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be a far stretch for a thrash band to take that song and
Yeah.
turn it into, even more. And for that matter, Future Tense, it's not thrash, but it's a pretty heavy tune.
That's another one. That's another
Yeah.
one. I used to have on cassette the King Biscuit Flower Hour. And
Oh,
they would open with Future Tense.
that is
Yeah.
available on CD, that show from
Yeah.
Oh, is
Wichita.
it?
And
Great.
yeah,
Great
it's from
show.
it's from Wichita, Kansas on the Power Play tour. And
Mhm.
it's a great show. Yeah, seek that one out. That's a good
Yeah, I need to get that.
they do Schizoid Man, and it's so good. Yeah.
Let
They
me
even
just-
do Ooh What a Night on that one.
Yeah, they're one of those bands that came, everybody I remember like around in my early teens, it just seemed like you go to somebody's house and they'd have an older brother or something, but everybody had Nature of the Beast. It seems like you saw it
Yeah.
That's the
everywhere,
one, man.
Yeah.
and you heard it. And then in early days of MTV, they played the ballad, Just Between You and Me.
Yep.
They'd always show that
First-
video, which was from a full.
First Canadian
Fir-
act ever played on MTV.
Oh, wow.
And that was a
Oh,
full
really?
concert, and they would show that concert on the Saturday night concerts. And then they
Yeah.
showed one from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, from the Power Play tour,
yeah.
which I
And
have a
that's-
bootleg DVD of. And they were, they were never that big in the States. It was kind of like that record. I guess Nature of the Beast is the only one that went platinum,
Yeah.
maybe. And it was
Harder
big
Faster's a
here.
gold album, but that's it for the
But
certifications.
they were big enough in certain territories of
Yeah.
the U.S. that they
It was
could
a
tour
regional
and they could
thing.
headline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a
because,
regional
like,
thing.
I mean, when you watch that Cedar Rapids, Iowa show, they're on a big stage with ramps and stuff. So I mean,
Mhm.
they had to be doing pretty well to do
Oh, yeah,
that
they
because
were.
you know,
They were.
The-
But, back in the day, you didn't have to be a multi-platinum selling album to play arenas. Case in point, Triumph.
Yep, exactly.
Triumph was an arena band, but would they have one platinum album?
They had one platinum album, and it wasn't certified until the early 2000s.
Well, look at that.
So
But yet
yes,
they fill arenas.
yeah,
You know?
it's that
And-
reputation of people. You got to see these guys. You got to see these
yeah.
guys.
And early MTV, they showed Just Between You and Me a lot, but they also played the live clip of Sign of the Gypsy Queen.
Yeah, they both of those
Mhm.
came from that Live in London
Yeah.
home video. Yeah,
That's a great video when they're
Yeah.
on the bus and the
Yeah.
drummer and the double-decker bus. I got that on DVD.
yeah, they
Yeah,
do
I
that
mean-
all the songs from Nature of the Beast, not in order, but they do that whole album on that show. There's only like 3 other songs. I think they do Roller, I Like to Rock, and like Ladies Man, and that's it. The rest is all Nature of the Beast songs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is to me the ultimate, because that is my favorite April Wine album is Nature of the Beast. It came down here, played James all night, and like the problem I had with Kansas, I didn't know nobody liked April Wine, so
Yeah,
I didn't drive back then.
yeah,
I
it makes a
would've
difference. Yeah,
Yeah, I would have went, and I never got to see April Wine, though I did see him open for Triumph. Who's the only guy left? A guitar player, right?
Greenwood.
Brian
Brian-
Greenway. Yeah, Brian, and he's not
Yeah.
original, but
That's right, got
he's
the
been there
shirt.
since '78. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was supposed to see them in 2019, and of course that got 2020, of
Yeah.
course that got crushed with COVID and everything, and so I didn't get to see them with
Was Miles
Miles.
still alive?
Miles
Oh,
was still
Miles.
with them then.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Miles.
the only time I've ever seen a version was when I saw him with Triumph a few
Yeah.
months back.
Yeah, Miles only stepped down like a few months before, like I think he like March of 2023, and then he died in December. So he was, he stuck with it. He was gonna have himself replaced on the road a long time before that, but he kind of decided against it. I'd seen him 5 times with Miles starting in '94. But yeah, I did see them this year open for Triumph, and I'm really glad I did because I talk about this in the book. I had no intention of going to see April Wine without Miles Goodwin. I just didn't. I said, how's that even going to work? Miles was April Wine. He wrote most of their songs. He sang, the guitar player. He arranged, produced. You know, but there was no way I was going to miss the Triumph concert because I've been a fan of them for even longer. So I went, and I'm glad I did because you know what? They put on a great show, and people love
They
those
did.
songs and they want to hear them. And
Yeah,
and
they
Brian
sure did.
Greenway is, the closest thing. He's not an original member, but he's a senior member, and he's been there. He was there all through their big period, and the music's in good hands.
Yeah, anybody watching that's not really familiar with April Wine, go to YouTube, look up April Wine. They've got a ton of videos, a lot of live clips. They did some clips when for from the Harder Faster period. They did a couple of clips in the studio.
Yep.
Where you see the Rush,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Limelight video and
It's-
stuff.
The
And
difference
like to
is
it's so
rock,
cool.
right?
yeah,
I
yeah. I
like
like
They
to
do.
rock.
I like to rock, and
Ladies,
one of
ladies man, and Before the Dawn.
Before the Dawn, which is one of my favorite
Yeah.
April Wine songs that
Yeah.
Brian actually sings. Yeah.
The
Really
the cool thing is you watch it. It's in that same room that the Rush videos were done in, but the April Wine ones were done in summertime, and the Rush ones are in the winter.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's the same place. Sadly,
Yeah.
that place is
It's
torn
gone.
down now, and it went into disrepair. But
Sad.
a lot of classic albums are recorded there.
Yeah.
It's a shame because that was like Canada's like Abbey Road.
It
Yeah.
was a pretty big deal. A couple of Rainbow albums were recorded there in
Yeah.
the early '80s. Yeah. The Police recorded there. Asia recorded there. Tina Turner recorded there. It was a big deal.
Speaking of Rainbow, another connection there with April Wine. April Wine's always been accepted into the metal community because they played the very first Castle Donington Monsters of Rock show with
yeah.
Rainbow and Saxon and so many bands.
Yeah,
April
I bet
Wine was on
Ralph's.
that bill.
I bet I know what Ralph's digging out now
yeah,
because
yeah.
they share space on a.
Yeah, on the
on a
cover.
That
record.
compilation album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A great version of "I Like to Rock" that I don't think has ever been put on a CD, and I wish somebody would fix that. Yeah,
There it
There you
is.
go.
Oh, look at that, huh?
Oh,
yeah.
I've got one with a different. They all got the logos on the front. It's different. I think it's the European
I got both.
version.
I got both of them. I got the 2 different versions of that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Killer
Is-
record.
They were
Alright.
sort
Where
of.
April Wine's another band I just got into probably like with the last year or two. I went to Tennessee and they don't play April Wine on the radio here. And I heard Sign of the Gypsy Queen. I'm like, who the hell is this? Because I can't see on the radio. And you hear the dual guitars and everything. I'm like, this song just kicks ass. And then I look it up and find out it's April Wine. But then ever since I heard that song, I've been searching. I just got these 2 albums in the mail the other day. And I just got this.
Oh, Forever for Now is a weird one.
I know these older ones. I haven't even gotten these to listen to them yet.
Electric Jewels is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what's wild is that I didn't know for years, maybe 10 years, Sign of Gypsy Queen was a cover.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
Have you ever heard the original version?
It sounds the same. I like it.
But it's totally like it's more of a folk song. Like
they
turned that into a rocker.
No. April Wine does it much better. But when I heard the original, I was like, man, this ain't bad.
It's recognizable, yeah. There's a section in the book about songs, about the original versions of songs that April Wine did. I think for the most part, they were smart at the cover songs that they did because they weren't the obvious ones. Even if they were doing ones by the Beatles or Elton John, they weren't the obvious songs. But yeah, Sign of the Gypsy Queen is probably their best known song that wasn't an original, but I mean, it might as well be. They might as well have arranging credit on it.
They made it their own way. Yeah,
transformed it, and it's that's to me that's one of those songs that I can't hear enough times. It's not possible.
Yeah, I can't get sick of that song. And I used to belong to a message board like years ago, and everybody was always talking about April Wine. And I figured I was just one of those shitty 70 bands I'm not into right now. And that's stupid me. I wait 20 years later, and I love it now.
I found this in a thrift store like not too long ago. It's like one of those split.
Yeah, those are weird. It's like, because where do you even file those?
Yeah.
There's a.
But it's got 5 Great White songs and 5 April Wine songs. But it was $1. It was $1.
Yeah, there's one with Helix. There's one with Helix and another band like that.
Helix and Vixen, I think.
The funny thing is, it doesn't even. It says hits and all that, but it doesn't have the Sign of the Gypsy Queen on here.
Probably couldn't get the rights.
Just between you and me, Roller, Enough is Enough. This could be the right one, and I Like to Rock are the ones.
They're all singles, but and there's another one I saw with it had Kicks and Honeymoon Suite on the same. Yeah. It's the record labels that do it if they've got 2 acts on the same. Yeah. But those are kind of strange to me. But I've seen that April Wine. That's like Capitol, right? They've got the access to it, and they can just put out whatever they want, and the bands don't have any say over it.
One a little later, April Wine song I fucking love. It's so commercial though, but it's so hilarious too. It's a song called "If You See K."
Oh yeah. There's actually a video for that.
There is a video with the pool and stuff.
Yeah.
And they get it. If you see K.
Funny story behind that song is that I remember when my first radio job. Which actually, and I mean, I feel compelled to mention this because every time I talk about April Wine, so I live in New Brunswick, which is the province that borders the state of Maine. So I'm right on the U.S. border. But my hometown and where I was born was Woodstock, New Brunswick. I only live about a half an hour away. But that's where Miles Goodwin was born, too, in 1948. Now, he didn't live there, but his family was passing through. So Miles Goodwin and I share a birthplace, which is, I think, a pretty cool little fact. There's not a lot of other bands. I can't think of any other bands I can say that about that I've, when they talk about where they were from, I know where it is. The hell was I going with that? Oh, yeah. The radio station in Woodstock's where I started, my first radio job. And they had a single, some of their old 45s after we weren't using 45s anymore were just piled in a room, and I was looking through them. And the single was Tell Me Why, the Beatles cover. If You See K was the flip side, and somebody had taken a knife and just went completely across the vinyl so no one would ever play that on the air, play If You See K. It's almost, I mean, they don't say anything. It's your imagination. It's almost like the, Dee Snider saying, I can't help it if Miss Gore has a dirty mind.
Right. But it's such a catchy little tune. I thought it, because I remember when it was new and it was on MTV, the video, I was surprised it wasn't a hit in America, at least.
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how Enough is Enough wasn't a hit, because that's one of my favorite. That was a big hit in Canada, but
I like the video.
It only got as far
train
as
cars.
It only got as far as number 50. It's really weird because they peaked so fast in the States, and then that was it.
Yeah,
I was really late to April Wine. I only really discovered them like 3 years ago. I mean, I heard about them through the years, but I've always had a really horrible habit of if a band has a really stupid name, then I fucking just I hear April Wine. I go, that can't be metal. It can't be
Yeah, that's
hard rock
exactly
and
what
band.
I thought.
It's
Yeah.
it sounds stupid, but I gotta
Yeah.
say the same thing happened. It's a bad habit, stupid way to be as a kid, but I hated Kansas, Alabama, Boston, Chicago, Asia. But your band name, you get to claim your state in your band.
Yeah.
You know that's fucking lame. I always hated all of it. And then years later, I'd be like, "Oh, this is Boston. Oh, this is fucking Kansas." And then it's like, "All right, yeah, this stuff's cool." You know, I just when I was a kid, I just couldn't get into that shit. But like 3 years ago, April Wine came up in like I don't know if it was like Sea Tranquility or Rock Fantasy Files I was doing, but I had to listen to an album and I was like, "Wow, this is like '70s and this like hard rock." It totally changed. And then I went to Rock Fantasy, my local record store, and looking through the used section, and there was like 5 April Wine albums for $5 each, and they were just like in perfect shape. And even when I bring them up to the counter, he was like, "Oh, you want these?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's like $5. You know, I'm gonna give it a shot." And he's like, "Nobody touches them." He goes, "They've been sitting here for years and years." But I think like with the latest tour, maybe people would have grabbed them quicker. But at the time, they had been sitting in the store for a while, so they were so cheap. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
better
Yeah,
late than
it's
never.
I never see the albums here where I live either. And I happened to be on vacation in Pennsylvania, and I just visited some like antique shop or whatever, and they had almost the whole collection in there. Not those early ones I just showed, but I bought most of them there. It's like, really shocked.
Yeah,
Yeah, same
see,
here.
like
Yeah.
like a lot of bands, like a lot of Canadian bands, they're much better known up here than in the States and really the rest of the world. It's always been more difficult for Canadian acts to kind of break through and stay there.
Mm.
It's hard. It's that's unfortunately that's never changed. They did have their moment, but yeah, they have a lot more than the two or three that you're likely to find, easily, right?
Yeah.
Um, with the
Yeah, the
internet kind of
early
makes that unnecessary. And I understand about the name because the name means absolutely nothing. It's just two random words put together. Because I like the band and I like the music, it kind of has a ring to it after a while, but only because you've heard it so much.
If it was winter whiskey, I think I would have been like, "All right, this sounds pretty
And
cool."
they did
March
come up with
whiskey.
one of my favorite band logos. I do love the April Wine logo
Yeah,
quite a
I do
bit.
too. It's a
Yeah.
great logo.
I
They
never had
didn't.
a
Yeah,
problem with that name. I mean, because you
me
know,
neither.
I'm a '70s kid,
Yeah.
so there's a
It's
lot
Yeah,
very
of
70s. Yeah, it's very 70s sounding.
yeah.
yeah.
It never I always
It
thought it
just
had.
doesn't sound like hard rock or heavy metal
Even
to
Thin
it. It just
Lizzy,
says,
I'm the same with Thin Lizzy. Even
yeah.
like, I just thought
Yeah.
it was
It just
stupid.
had a ring. Yeah, Thin Lizzy's a great example. Thin Lizzy, April Wine, and to me, those two words had a ring to it.
Yeah,
That I,
just the right amount of syllables. And the funny thing is that I'm late to getting into Thin Lizzy. I've gotten into them over the years, but I've been listening to April Wine longer. April Wine have songs that make me wonder if they weren't influenced by Thin Lizzy because I think they must have been as far as those twin lead
I've
guitars. Because there's
noticed
Oh
certain
that
yeah.
parts
too,
of songs, it's like, okay, now that I've listened to
for
Thin
sure.
Lizzy, this reminds me of that April Wine song, but it's really the other way around.
Mm.
I've noticed that as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
the April Wine records, like you were saying, a lot of the early stuff was only available here as imports, and
Hmm.
even some of the later stuff
Yeah.
was only because I remember seeing April Wine records, back, when flipping through the record store back in the '80s when I was saying everybody had Nature of the Beast, you would see a couple of the other albums, but it wasn't. I'm rarely do I'm still collecting. I still need some of those early records. I picked up a copy of Own Record. I guess it was a Canadian press, the one that's got the looks like an album with the
Yeah.
faces.
Yeah.
Got it. I found it for $1. Didn't even
Wow.
look at the record. Got it home, pulled out, had the wrong album in it. Wasn't even this. I just got the cover. I was
That's
like,
Yeah, but you know
ah.
what? You could find the record by itself without a sleeve, so you've already got the sleeve. Yeah, that's that record there. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I named the book after. I thought it made the most
Hmm.
sense. But that was
Yeah.
actually the first
Yep.
album that came out in the US, but it was self-titled. That's the one that has You Could Have Been a Lady on it, which
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of people associate that song with April Wine, but it's a hot chocolate cover.
oh wow, I see. I
So,
didn't know that. I
yeah.
thought it was an original there.
Yeah, no, they were very smart with their covers. Like, they didn't write that song, they didn't write Weeping Widow. Uh, there's a bunch of them like that they totally made that their own. Now, Miles could write, all kinds of different kinds of songs. So he was a talented songwriter. but he had an eye for picking just the right songs to remake, not just cover, but remake. Did that a lot. And you know, the first time I heard it, I didn't like it because I didn't know what it was, but I grew to love their version of 21st Century Schizoid Man,
Oh yeah, I love it.
especially after I saw them do it live and I realized how tight they are on stage. All those stops and starts in the middle of that, they were on it. They're playing in this big club in '94 when I saw them the first time, and you could hear a pin drop every time they do the da 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 da, like no like squeaks out of place or a drum, a ghost, no nothing. It was just perfect.
Tight.
Jerry Mercer did a solo
Tight.
in the middle of it. It was so good. Yeah, so tight. No matter who's been in the band. I mean, I've seen him with a variety of different like rhythm sections, and they've just always had dynamite musicians. Like they don't, they're not progressive, but they've got chops, serious chops.
Oh yeah.
This is the Canadian version of Nature of the Beast on Aquarius.
On Aquarius, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I found this in the
Al,
thrift shop too. Yeah.
Al, you're unmuted.
Oh,
Yeah. What's the bonus on there, Al? What's the bonus on that?
there's no bonus songs. It's just.
I thought I saw more tracks.
Here's the
Well, is there a bonus? I mean, there's 11 tracks on it.
No, that's it. No,
Yeah,
the problem is April Wine has and I complain about this in the book a lot too. April Wine has a catalog that isn't being taken care of. It's never had a proper reissue campaign. They have about 5 or 6 songs that were B-sides that were original songs that they've never been on a cassette, never been on a CD. They've never been compiled. There's alternate mixes of songs. Like there's a double CD at least set that could come out that fans like me would love to get because it's these hard to find songs or mixes of songs. And the label, whoever's in charge of their masters, they're just not getting it. They're just not giving it the treatment it deserves. I would love to see like Rock Candy step in and do a massive reissue campaign.
Sounds like they need a real big box set, like all that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
looking for something.
So Aquarius put a box set out of April Wine in 1991, and it is the most unimaginative box set ever. It's so annoying because there's absolutely nothing on it that you can't get on the original CDs. And like I said, there are all those B-sides out there that should be, they should be compiled somewhere. Or when the CDs got reissued in like around 2008, 2009, it would have been nice if those had been on the albums that they were associated with. Like there's a handful of songs that most people have never, ever heard. And some of them are pretty good. Like there's Animal Grace, which came out in '84, which is kind of a guilty pleasure album because if you listen to it, it's horribly dated as far as the production goes. It's got terrible like '80s production, that real wet like not quite electric, but that real wet snare drum sound. But I think it's got some great songs on it. The B-side of This Could Be the Right One is a song called I Really Don't Want Your Love. It sounds like a ballad, but it's not. It's a rocker. It's a great song. I don't know why it's not on the album because there's only 9 songs on Animal Grace. They could have made a 10-song album out of it. And there are songs on Animal Grace I would take off in favor of that song they put on the B-side. So
yeah, that's a good song.
I just like to hear that stuff,
You we were talking about the video for I Like to Rock that was in Let's Studio. That version of the song is not the version on the album.
That's right.
And
it's extended.
I noticed that one night when I was watching it. So I went on Facebook Messenger and I messaged Miles and I asked him, was that version available on anything? And sure enough, he came back and answered my question and said, nope, that's the only way it ever came out was on that video. I messaged him a couple times and asked him questions and he came back and answered them. I thought that was really cool,
So there's a compilation that Aquarius Records put out called All the Rockers. Now, I would recommend getting that. Number one, it's got a great collection of songs, but it does have the version of I Like to Rock that's on there is a little bit different than the one that's on Harder, Faster. It does have that extended break in the middle, but it's still not the same as the video version because the version of the video actually comes to an end. It doesn't just fade out. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It would be like to have that, to have the Castle Donington version, which was officially recorded. Put that stuff all together and put it out. Not,
that whole show would be
yeah,
good.
that too.
let me ask you, Tim. Um, I don't know if you did your research or not, but all these B-sides you talk about that have never been officially released, do you know if they're all available on YouTube? Because I'd love to hear
I think so because some of them I had to remind myself again. So there's one called Teacher, that was the B-side of You Could Have Been a Lady. And then there's a couple others from the same time period, like from the on record Electric Jules period. There's one called I Get Bad, and there's one called Tell Your Mama. Then there's another one from the Whole World's Going Crazy era, and the song's actually called Goody Two Shoes, which is funny because that was going to be the name of Miles Goodwin's first solo album, which ended up the Forever For Now album with the April Wine name attached to it at the 11th hour. It's really not a band album, but the label said there's more recognition in the April Wine name at this point. So there's that song. Then there's I Really Don't Want Your Love. There's a cool live version of All Over Town that's on the B side of All Over Town that they recorded, I think, in California somewhere. All of these different tracks. Yeah, I think there's vinyl rips of most of that stuff someone's uploaded to YouTube.
So
Um,
only way those songs are available are like on 45s.
that's right.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got some of those
Old
45s. I didn't
45s.
bring them
Yeah.
in. Check them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so I don't even know if the masters exist anymore, which is a real shame. I don't know who is in charge of their catalog. I just know that most classic rock bands, after a while, get a good reissue treatment, at least, the key albums in their career. But April Wine's an example of a band that didn't. It's just too bad that, like how Triumph got the rights to their catalog and they've done a great job with the reissues and making sure the stuff gets out there. Um, it's a shame that that didn't happen with April Wine. And with Miles gone, I really don't know if anyone actually owns it now or if it's his estate or I don't know. But I do know that there's music out there that it would be nice to have nice versions of, right? Like,
Mm.
physical copies of. But yeah,
Like
it's
deluxe versions or something,
yeah. But
something
like I
cool.
said, and it stands out because most bands that ends up happening. You reissue an album, and if there was a song that was a B-side of one of the singles from that album, they'd stick that on the end. That with April Wine, that doesn't seem to have happened.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
got this.
sucks.
I got this double CD of Kansas, which should be
Mm-hmm.
cool if like April Wine even did something like this,
Yep.
where it's like
Yep.
it's got like unissued songs and stuff like that. It's a
Yeah, it's got
double.
demos and yeah.
What's that called?
It's just called Kansas.
Yeah. Now I've got that, but I got it when it came out and it's in the long box.
The long box, yeah. That
Yeah.
I just found a double CD in the thrift
So
shop. So
what is that? A compilation?
it's a compilation, but it's got
Yeah.
like demos on it. It's got previously unissued live songs. It's got a bunch of stuff that's not on the album. So, but it's cool. It's 2 disc, you know.
Yeah.
And
This
even
is
if
the
they did a
version
little
that
something
I
like that, yeah, there you go.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So it's a box set, but it's only 2 CDs. And
Yeah.
now I remember when I first bought this, I was most excited because one of my favorite Kansas albums is Audio Visions, and it wasn't available on CD at this point. So I said, good. Now I've got Relentless and Loner on a CD. And there's a new song. There was a new song on it called Wheels that Kerry Livgren wrote, which is not
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, I mean, they've done better box sets since then. But yeah, most of like the Journey one too, I've seen in the slim or the smaller thing
Yeah.
instead of these big, the big long boxes. But
This could be the right one
yeah,
single that's got that,
yeah.
There you
that
go.
track on it. Hey, Count Ralphus, here's a horror connection for you that
Oh
Rock
yeah,
Myself to Sleep is on Fright Night
Fright Night.
soundtrack.
Oh,
The
wow,
movie
yeah.
Fright Night
Yeah.
soundtrack, yeah.
Hey, I got a question about the book. So, like, I haven't seen it, the April Wine book, but like about a question about the structure of the book. So, do you give like a quick like history and then you go album by album? I know it's not like a panel book, but I just
Oh, it
wondering.
is. No, it is.
Oh, it actually.
Oh yeah, it's we got a couple fellows here
Oh, okay.
that are in it, Tony and Al.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, the books that I've done have mostly been album by album books, very much modeled after Martin Popoff's books. Martin actually wrote the foreword to this. So yeah, it goes through each of the studio albums. I ask a bunch of questions or, say, I think this song sucks. And then people agree or disagree with me or whatever. And we go through every song and we do that for all 16 albums. And then in those chapters, if whatever songs are like B-sides or whatever, I talk about them there. So yeah, you get people that have been into the band for like since the 70s and people that just got into them a few years ago. There's all different kinds of ranges of fans that, if they want to talk about the band, that's all I needed. So yeah, so it's a good cross section. It's not just my thoughts on it. Although you do get a lot of, if I like an album, I think you can tell by the questions I ask. But one of the biggest surprises for me was to find out that there are actually people that like the debut album, because to me, I always thought everybody just bought that, if they were a fan, they just bought it to complete the collection. But some people actually like it. I'm not a big fan of that first album. I find it a hard listen. It's very, very folksy and it's all over the place. And Miles doesn't sing all the songs, so it really doesn't even sound like them. So, but that's the other thing about this band. They're more varied than I think most people think, because their bread and butter was rock that was almost hard rock, but not quite. But they've got a lot more variety of songs than that, especially on those early albums. There's some folk stuff. There's a little psych. There's piano balladry, but almost like country piano balladry. But then they can get really, really heavy too. But usually always catchy. So
Yeah,
Seems
I
to be like a lot of the
contributed to.
70s bands are like that. Like they start off one way, but they got to find their way. Like Thin
Yep.
Lizzy. Thin Lizzy's
Yep.
perfect for that.
very
Oh,
much.
that's a
And
perfect example.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
example. Nazareth is another good example too. And all those
Yeah.
bands put their first albums out in 71.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
and a lot of, that was a time period where not everybody knocked it out of the park right away. And record labels knew that. They gave them a few albums to catch on. But by the time,
Developments.
by the time they got to like Stand Back, they were a damn good band.
yeah, the same thing can be said about REO Speedwagon.
Oh,
Their,
holy,
their
yeah,
early stuff is blue collar, hard rock, grassroots.
yeah.
You would never imagine, like, Heavy on Your Love, Golden Country was the same
Yeah.
band that did Keep on Loving You, Can't Fight This Feeling.
Well,
But
especially that very first album, because or
yeah,
the two in the middle there, because it's not even Kevin Cronin singing.
yeah,
Totally
Mike
different
Murphy.
band. Yeah.
Mike Murphy. But yeah, that first album, look, I had a thrash band. We released 2 records. One of our most popular songs called Wake Up Smell of Thrash. Nobody knew. I totally ripped off Sophisticated Lady from the first REO. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, if you love thrash, there's no way you're gonna know Sophisticated Lady.
That's right. Yeah.
And
I mean, even if you had anything from like You Could Tune a Piano onwards, you're not going to know Sophisticated
Right.
Lady.
Exactly.
And that's a fast song.
Very fast. Gypsy Woman Passion, the same thing.
Yeah.
A very fast song with Gary Richrath going apeshit.
Yeah.
I love
Gary
that.
was
Unbelievable.
Killer
not
guitar
people
player.
talking about Gary
Massive,
Ritchie. He was a great player.
Yeah,
He really
sad.
was.
He was a total gunslinger. If you listen to that live version of Golden Country, it's one of the greatest guitar solos you'll ever hear in your life.
Yeah.
The guy was he was awesome,
Live version of 157 Riverside Avenue. It's good stuff.
Historic, man, with the guitar playing, talking over the phone. I mean, that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
It's
that.
kind of a variant on the Deep Purple thing, right? Like the guitar vocal duel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, I found this album, a promotional copy of it, and just looking at the album cover, I'm like, this album, it's not going to be good. I said, there's no way. No way. I finally listened to it, and it's one of my favorite albums that they did. It's just
good.
It's a cool
So
cover.
many
I
good
like
songs.
how it's embossed.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know. It just looks weird to me.
Um,
It doesn't fit with the other covers that they have. This one's just like.
Well, they have some bad album covers. I
They
mean,
do.
that
I
first
have-
album
I
was
have-
probably the worst.
Yeah.
With the
I
feet.
have seen that album before. What album is that? What, the second?
The Whole World's Going
The Whole World's
Crazy.
Going
That would be
Crazy.
their 5th studio album from
Fifth
76.
one. Okay.
And that
And-
cover does not fit with the title. It's just
No,
kind of
it's got
like
nothing
an
to do
elf
with anything.
or whatever on the front.
Well, no, it's a Mad Hatter and he's dangling like a globe.
Okay.
So it kind of does make sense in that
Yeah.
sense. But and that's another one where you got to there's 2 or 3 different versions you got to get all the songs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because
Now I gotta
the
do
US
hunting.
version, the version that you got there, Wayne, is that on London Records?
Yeah, it says a London promotional copy.
Okay, so that's a US version. So there's a song called We Can Be More Than We Are that's only on the Canadian version. And
Oh,
you've got a couple songs on there, I think Marjorie and Child's Garden, that are on Forever for Now, which was not released in the US.
oh.
I try to make sense out of all of that throughout the chapters of the book because it is a
I'm gonna
little
have to get the book.
confusing.
I'm gonna have to get the
Yeah.
book because there's a lot of stuff I need
Tim,
to learn.
Tim, you and I have discussed this, and the two records that I contributed reviews to the April Wine book is 1993's
Oh yeah.
Attitude, and
Yeah.
I also contributed about Frigid.
Yeah.
And Attitude is one that I really like. This is a good hard rock record. It's from 1993, and when I've got it on vinyl. It got a vinyl reissue a few years ago, and they left. I mean,
Yeah.
this album's got what, 15 songs on it, is it? And
14, I think. I think it's
they
14.
left about they could, instead of making it a double album, they crammed it
Yeah.
like
I
9 tracks on
I
one
was
album and
I
omitted a
was
bunch of stuff.
I was glad
Very
it was finally
disappointing.
coming out on vinyl, but then I got it and I looked at it and go, wait a minute, this isn't right. So Attitude is interesting because that was the first April Wine album in 8 years. They'd gone on hiatus after they toured in '84, and the best known lineup split up. Walking Through Fire, which is where Rock Myself to Sleep came from, was a total contractual obligation album to satisfy the Capitol Records contract, and then that was it for a while. Miles and Brian both did solo records in 1988, but then they got together in a slightly different lineup, and that Attitude record came out, and it actually went gold here in Canada. It was a pretty successful comeback, especially considering when it came out. I think if it had come out a couple years sooner, it would have been bigger. But unfortunately, they couldn't get a US deal, which I think might have made a difference because the song That's Love on Attitude, which is much heavier than the title sounds, actually went all the way to number 33 on the Billboard mainstream rock chart, which is not bad for an import. So there was potential there for something more to happen with that record. And then they put Frigate out right after that, but then it was, very, very hit and miss. In my, the thing about April Wine is I just wish they'd done more albums in their later days. I just wish there was more music to talk about. They only did 2 albums in the 2000s, and one of them was really good, one of them not so much. But it's just that there was more money to be made touring, right? We've heard that before.
Hmm. Yeah, I've seen this recently. Somebody mentioned in the chat too. There's an April Wine box set. It's called The Collection.
Yeah, that's the
It's,
one. That's the one that annoys me to no end because there's nothing different on it.
there's nothing different. Okay.
There's it. I mean, if you don't have any of their albums, then
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with getting that. It's just that
Right,
it could have
right,
been so much better.
right.
Knowing that there are other songs there, there's all kinds of room where they could have snuck in some of those B-sides instead of just
Yeah.
other album tracks. You'd still have all the hits that you'd ever want. Um, if you were going to get a couple CDs by April Wine, there's there was one that I already mentioned called All the Rockers. Then there's one called The Hits, not Greatest Hits, but The Hits.
Hmm.
And between those two, that's a pretty good primer for April Wine. If you're going to get albums, I would say if you're going to get 4 April Wine albums, I would say get Stand Back, Harder Faster, Nature of the Beast, and Attitude. Those would be my suggestions. Harder Faster, Nature of the Beast, probably the easiest ones to get because they were the most successful ones. But Stand Back was a huge album here in Canada. That was their 4th album, came out in 75. And it had like 2 or 3 big radio hits here. But in the States, it was available in the States, but it wasn't promoted. So unfortunately, people don't know it as well, but it's one of their, somebody that does a lot of crate digging like I do. I think I see more copies of Stand Back than any other April Wine album. So it made it into a lot of homes.
Yeah,
Stand
So
Back.
I've seen it a lot here.
is
Yeah.
Stand Back more of a hard rocking album?
Very much so. Yeah. Especially for 75, there's some heavy stuff on there, like Victim for Your Love, Highway Hard Run. That's the candidates that the 4 guys, sometimes they were a 4-piece, 5-piece, it depends, but this time they were 4-piece. They're standing behind a cannon and it's just a black background.
Stand Back, Animal Grace, and Frigate are the contributions that I did for the book. Here's the Frigate cassette, which is actually the Canadian
Yeah.
cassette because the Canadian cassettes are usually black. Like
Yeah.
I
that.
don't
black.
think there was a cassette released anywhere else.
Yeah. Oh, probably
Um,
not in the US.
yeah.
Yeah, you're probably
Yeah.
right. But it's cool. I actually like this album a lot, man.
I
it's a
do
cool
too.
album.
I think it's good.
I like
Yeah.
it. I realize it's probably not quite as good as Attitude, but I'll tell you why I have a soft spot for it, because that's the first album that came out as after I was a fan and was waiting for a new album. And the fact that it came out only about a year after Attitude came out got me thinking, wow, maybe they're going to start releasing albums more often now. And that wasn't the case, sadly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Al,
saw them on that tour as well.
you got Power Play laying back there.
I
That's
do,
a
yeah.
good record too. That's probably my favorite album cover. That's just a really cool
Yeah, I love this
album
album cover. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. I wonder, which one came out first, because they both came out in 82.
Single.
That one, or who's what is it called? It's Hard by The Who, because they both have a kid in front of a video game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This one has a different cover too. Is there any differences between?
Yes, there's no, so that's interesting too.
Al's got the other one. I got the album.
So first glance, that's the US cover. What Al's holding up is the Canadian cover. The US cover I like a lot better because it's the first to introduce the logo. Like I said, it's one of my favorite band logos. And that Canadian cover looks cheap to me.
Yeah,
it's odd.
And also the first two
There's the inside,
tracks are mixed up on the first song on the US version at first glance is Get Ready for Love, but the first one on the Canadian version is Hot on the Wheels of Love. Other than that, it's the same album. It's
Roller was heavily played on the radio when this was
Roller was a top 40 hit. They had 3 US top 40 hits. It was You Could Have Been a Lady, Roller, and Just Between You and Me all hit the top 40. None of them were huge hits, but yeah, Roller was really big for them. That got airplay. There was a station in Flint, Michigan that played that a lot, and that ignited that album in the US and got them some tours with Rush and Foreigner and Styx. And that was the start of their, the brief amount of success they did have. And it got them overseas. It got them into the UK. Probably led to them doing Donington. And they were one of those bands, if you ever watch the documentaries about the new wave of British heavy metal, you'll see like the kids at the clubs headbanging with the jean jackets with all the patches on them. Every once in a while, you'd see an April Wine patch.
Yeah.
Even though they really weren't that heavy, it's just that from talking to people over there, the radio over in the UK played so little rock music that anything that had any amount of guitars in it at all, they were like, yeah, this is good. That's why like Journey and Loverboy were considered like heavy metal, even though they weren't. It's just they were so hungry for anything with guitar. So April Wine kind of had that going for them. Plus, they did have some songs that rocked pretty hard, like we said, Crash and Burn and Future Tense and Schizoid Man. Parts of that are pretty heavy.
And Roller is a very guitar heavy tune. That's how I got. That was my introduction to April Wine.
Yeah.
When I heard that on the radio, I ran out and bought First Glance.
Yeah.
It's so heavy on guitar and with the little effects and just
very Southern rock.
It is kind of, it's a shuffle, right? And they really took advantage of, that was the first one that Brian Greenway was in the band on that album. So they really took advantage of having 3 lead guitar players with that.
Love that. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Gets me every time. I never get tired
and
of
it pans into speakers.
If you listen to it with headphones,
I love how all the guitars are mimicking each other. It's fucking awesome.
And then good acid trip. That's a good one for acid, Count Ralphus.
Yeah, it's got a little spaciness. There's a little spaciness, space shit going on for a little.
Well, Jerry starts doing the hi-hats and I don't know if it's flange, but there is kind of a swirling effect they put on it.
In the book, when you're about to talk about an album, do you give like a history of like where they toured, who they toured with that year, and do you cover like the touring in the book?
Not really. No, it's more it's more about just the who produced it, when it was released, the songs and who wrote them, and just questions about that. There's a little bit of that, like if somebody mentions they saw them on that tour, either opening for or somebody was opening for them, that's in there. But no, there's no, it's not like a definitive tour date list, although I would buy a book like that. That would be cool.
Yeah. check this cover out. This is the
Sign of the Gypsy Queen.
single,
Yeah.
Sign of the Gypsy Queen single. I don't know if you guys ever saw the Knack single for My Sharona, but that looks
It's
almost
not
like the
not
same girl.
dissimilar. Not dissimilar.
Very, very similar.
Same label too.
Could be the same. Could be the same model. I wonder.
Well,
That's the-
that was actually Sharona.
Yeah.
That girl
it
on
was.
the cover. They wrote that song about that girl on the cover.
Who I
Okay,
think ended
okay.
up being a real estate agent or something.
Wow.
Like I
The
read
Want to
Sign
buy a
of the-
house? Call My Sharona. 1-800.
Sign of the Gypsy Queen was really like the first song I ever heard by April Wine. It got a lot of airplay in New Jersey and New York area. That
Yeah,
was like
it was
the
a big.
song.
It was a big rock radio hit, and
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't get tired of that song. It comes on, and I'm like,
Nah.
crank it up.
But when I really like heard a lot of April Wine was in 1990 after I graduated high school. I went to go work. My cousin owned a pizzeria
Oh yeah.
with another partner of his. The partner of his was married to another cousin of mine, so he was from Canada. So when we'd always have like he was always a big like rock fan and stuff like that. But he introduced me to so much like Canadian music. He'd always be blasting like Canadian bands like over the like I. It's the first time I ever heard like more April Wine was through him because he had like the Harder Faster album. He had the Nature of the Beast. He had the Power Play. He had like that trio of albums, and then like Max Webster and all of these other Canadian. Triumph I already knew. I was already into Triumph since I was a kid. But a lot of like Saga shit like
Mhm.
that, and
Yeah.
so that's really kind of where I started hearing a lot more April Wine. I'm like, damn, these guys fucking rock. Because I never really like dug into them when I was in high school. Nobody really talked about them in high school. They were just kind of, I mean, because they broke up in '84, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was.
So they were
yeah,
like a dead issue. And
Exactly.
all my high school years, they were
Yeah.
nowhere to be found. But when I heard them, at my cousin's pizzeria, we played over the PA, the sound system, and it was great, man. Like hearing a lot of that stuff. So that's kind of how I got introduced to more of that, and I became a fan. And
Saga was a cool band.
Yeah. He had some cool
On
songs.
On the loose.
one of the earliest videos on MTV I saw was
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Loose.
yeah. That was early.
I always
Wine,
loved that.
uh,
Great solo in that song.
Turn
Oh,
me
man.
loose. What is it? Turn it loose or something like that.
I'm on the loose.
On the loose.
On the Loose. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
But the other one from that album, what was that? The album was
Worlds Apart.
Saga. Oh,
Worlds
Wind Him
Apart.
Up.
Worlds Apart.
I have that one.
Was it Wind Him Up? Is that the
Yeah,
song?
Wind 'em Up.
Yeah.
Man. I love that's like one of my favorite songs.
I like
by-
the Flyer. That's from the album that came out after that. Heads or Tails. Flyer's a good song.
Yeah, yeah. Great album, man. That's the like Nature of the Beast, Worlds Apart's kind of the same album like for the US. Like that's the album. Like if somebody in the US is gonna own a Saga album, that's the one.
That was a gold
Yeah, it had a
record for them in the US, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it has a
there
different
it is.
cover.
And
It has a
and it's got a
different
different
cover
cover in Canada. In
Yeah.
Canada, it's got like an old man with a map or
I
something.
got that
like
cover
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have both versions.
Yeah.
The U.S. cover's more appealing, more eye-catching.
I like the
think,
US.
with
I actually
with
like the US
sunglasses.
version better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that album. That's a great album, man.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah.
play this. It's been a while. It's been a minute, as the kids say.
Yeah. So Tim's got a lot of books out. We talked about Ralph showed the Kansas. Of course, we mentioned the Y&T book. I think all of these are these all still in print? Can you still get them on?
They're all available to print to order on Amazon all
Yeah.
over the world. Yeah.
Is the Y&T a panel book too?
Yes.
Yes.
The
Okay,
Y&T,
I'd like to check
Y&T and Kansas and Night Ranger and April Wine are all panel books. There's my very first book is kind of a different one. It was called Unspooled: An Adventure in 8
This is
Tracks.
great.
Yeah.
I
Now
wanted
this
to
one,
talk about that.
yeah,
This is awesome.
Thanks, Tony. This one talks about how mainly how like when you think of 8-track tapes, and I have to be talking to a certain age group to even know what they were. But when most people
I'm
think
way
about
too
8
young
tracks,
for it. I don't remember.
they don't
any.
think about the mid to late 80s albums as coming out on 8-track. But if you were in Columbia House, if you were in one of the record clubs, a lot of albums did. which is just weird to me. Like there's some very strange choices of albums that came out on 8-track, and I'd never seen a book that kind of documented that before. So that was my very first book. It started out as a Kickstarter campaign, and it did very well. And then when I realized that you could put books out like print to order through Amazon, brought it back. And then I started saying, well, let's okay, now what? My next book was the Y&T one because they're one of my favorite bands, and I think that they're one of the most overlooked, underrated rock bands ever, and they should have been a huge band. And I'm very proud that the album, the book cover, was designed by none other than Hugh Syme, which he's like a rock star in album cover designs, and I can guarantee all of you have at least one of his album covers in
Well, if
your
you have a Rush
collection.
album, yeah,
If you have it, if
pretty
you have
much.
anything, yeah, everything from Caress the Steel
Queensryche.
onwards, right? What's that?
Did he do Queensryche?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. He did Promised Land and Here in the Now
Promised Land.
Frontier.
He did Fate's
He-
Warning.
Yeah, he did. He did a lot of Megadeth in the '90s. He did Kiss Revenge. Like sometimes it was just one album by a group, sometimes it was a bunch. And he did Y&T's Contagious album.
White Snake, the
Yeah,
87
well,
album.
see, when he did the Whitesnake '87 album, that was on Geffen, and that got him a lot of work for Geffen. So he did Y&T, he did Black and Blue, he did God, it never like all kinds. He started doing more of that type of band instead of like the progressive bands. He did the Cherry Pie album cover, he did Great White Hooked, um, Def Leppard Retroactive. Yeah, you've got a Hugh Syme album somewhere in your collection. I can almost guarantee it. But that was an honor to have him do that. The rest of the albums, my good buddy Matt Phillips has designed, and he does a great job in those. I love how the Kansas cover came out. The Night Ranger
That's
one
great.
came out cool too. Yeah, and then
Got
there's
Fleetwood Mac.
yeah, there's two books. My Sammy Hagar and my Fleetwood Mac one are all me, but they're the same kind of books. They go through each album.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like doing both types of books, but the panel books I like because I get differing opinions other than my own. But sometimes it's just there's no question it's quicker to do the books myself, but they're also not as long. But it's crazy because like 5 years ago I had no books and I had no intentions of being an author. Well, now I've got 7 and I'm working on 2 more. So it's kind of crazy how these things happen. I don't think it would have happened if I had to been working from home after COVID.
I
So,
love the panel books. I love like listening to the like reading a chapter and listening to the album. To me, they're perfect summer books. I've said this to Martin before. I love it. I'll hold on to a book till I'm going to be outside with the box radio. Sometimes I like listening to it as I'm actually reading it because it's not
that's
like, you got to pay so much attention. This is people's opinions. They're talking about
yeah.
the songs I do listen to. I love these type of books, and I like that it's not just one person's opinion. You got to like try not to be opinionated if you're writing a book. Like some of Martin's album by album books, more panel books, and he keeps it straight. Like he gives it like how it is. He injects a little bit of his opinion, but not like
Yeah.
overwhelming.
And I kind of try to do the same thing. I mean, you don't want, like the idea is that I think you can tell what I think of the albums just by the questions that I ask, but the facts are laid out there for you. And I think you can kind of cut them away from an album going, this doesn't sound like an album I'd like, but that one does, based on what I'm reading here. And that is absolutely the goal, is to accompany the listening experience. One of the first books I got from Martin like that was his Queen album by album, and that's one of my favorite books that he's done. I don't know how many times I've read that, and I thought, somebody should do a book like that on Y&T. And I actually talked to Martin about it. Like we've actually gotten to be buddies where I'll go, hey, are you doing a book on such and such? And he'll go, no, but someone should. And, I think you're the guy to do it. So, that's how a lot of these have come around.
We need a Man of War one. I've been saying to everybody that does these, we need a Man of War one.
I'm kind of surprised Martin hasn't done a Man of War.
Yeah,
I said it to him.
Hit him up. Tell him. You get enough people do it, then maybe you will. But he writes a great forward. He contributes a great story about him and a buddy of his finding a box full of April Wine 74 tour posters and taking them home. And they had like a junior high age party in somebody's rec room, and they just plastered the walls with these April Wine posters.
Yeah, they
So
found like hundreds of them. I've heard him tell that story.
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
he told that story here, and all the chicks
Yeah.
left and shit.
Well, that's when they brought Kiss Alive in. That was the end of that party. But actually, yeah, he sent me a copy of it, and we reprinted it. It's in black and white, but that was a box full of this poster right here, the Electric Adventure Tour '74, which would have been the Electric Jewels tour. But so I don't know.
I'd love that YT book because I loved like Mean Streak and Black Tiger, and then it got like the Trust one. They started getting more commercial, and I was getting into heavier stuff. But then I went back years later, and someone gave me like a best of the early stuff, and I loved it. I was like, man, this guy should have been like right behind Van Halen at the time. You know? I totally lost touch with them. I totally lost touch with them, and then I seen him one time with Yngwie and Y&T and Twisted Sister. When Twisted Sister Reunite, they played by us, and but then I seen them again. I got put on a guest list. It was Doro Pesh opening up for Y&T, and I remember my friends were like not paying attention to Y&T. They thought it was going to be like the glammy kind of Y&T stuff. But I was sitting there, and when Dave McKenney did his solo that night, he did like this like Eddie Van Halen like eruption kind of thing, and I think it's one of the greatest guitar solos I've ever seen.
Oh, Dave's
the shows I've been to.
Yeah,
I've never seen someone just sit there with the guitar though, like that close to me, be that insanely good. And my friends that weren't paying attention, I was like, dude, you got just missed like something so fucking incredible.
And he sings as well as he plays too. That's the other thing. He's the double threat. Like that band should have broken through at so many different labels. I think that they had bad management. They had bad record labels. They had labels that made shitty decisions. Like we were talking about MTV with April Wine. Y&T had 2 albums out in 81 and 82, no videos after MTV was on the air. Huge mistake on A&M's part.
And then when they did, they had the Summertime Girls, and it was very commercial. And
right. Well, that was their one. That was the one song that had some kind of airplay, and they didn't even. They still couldn't make that a hit for them either. So yeah,
it seemed like it kind of was a hit at the time. It seemed like a hit at the time. It was getting played, but like to me, like if I would have been seeing the song from the other 2 albums before it, they would have been way heavier and more like the raw old Van Halen.
Well, yeah, look at the video for Mean Streak. That video rules.
Yeah,
Night Flight showed it, but MTV didn't hardly ever show it.
Night Flight would show their show at Reading. Was it the Reading show where
they did Reading in like '82? Yeah.
Night Flight would show Forever, Rescue Me from that show, and Black Tiger.
They were popular in pockets, right? And they got a huge cult following, but they never broke. I think they had potential to break every bit as big as Van Halen or Aerosmith or any U.S. rock band, but it just didn't. The pieces just didn't come together at the right time for them. In Rock We Trust was almost a gold record, but here I am, up here in Eastern Canada. I'm a huge fan, and thinking there's never been a book on Y&T. Why is that? So, and it to be honest with you, they're the most obscure band of all of the bands that I've written books on as far as record sales. That's still my biggest selling book by a pretty wide margin.
Wow.
I think people were like, finally, somebody's done a book on this band. So, but yeah.
Had anybody...
Go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say, has anybody ever done a book on Night Ranger besides you?
I don't think so. Yeah. Which is even more surprising because they were a bigger selling band. So it's even more surprising that nobody's done a book on them. So yeah, I try to fill that niche with like, okay, this band's great. Everybody talks about these bands, but what about, so I'm trying to fill that niche with like,
there's 100 Iron Maiden books. There's 100 Ozzy books.
Well, it's Ozzy like, somebody asked me if I'd ever consider writing a Kiss book. I'm a huge Kiss fan. I've got no new angle. I've got nothing to say that hasn't already been said. I would do a
whole Crazy Nights thing. Ralph will help you on that one.
Actually,
Julian Gill wrote a book about.
I was about to say
that already.
Julian
Yeah.
Gill did a Crazy Nights book.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I get much more enjoyment out of sinking my teeth into writing about a group that nobody seems to have written about, or
Yeah.
at least there's articles here and articles there, but there's nothing that's been in one spot to say, here's the albums, here's the songs on them, here's what they look like, that sort of thing. So,
It's
you know,
great that you're going at that angle. And like 10 years ago, I was reading books that I weren't even a big fan of, but I found the book like cheap at a thrift store. There wasn't that many rock books. I read the Sammy Hagar book like that. I found it for $1. Did not, I mean, his autobiography.
I
And
was gonna say
you know,
mine.
no, I got that one for free too. But somebody, but I read it back then because I was just hungry for that kind of stuff. I wanted to read books like that, and there wasn't a lot of them.
yeah,
Now there's like every like big like legacy death metal bands all have their own books now, and like
Yeah.
it's just nonstop every fucking and I love it. I find this kind of stuff great, but you're tackling bands that no one else is talking about.
well, I
writing
think,
books about.
well, thank you. I think every classic artist or band should be commemorated in this way, even if it's by a small
Absolutely.
time author like me.
If they're a legacy band,
Yeah, like Y&T. Okay, we're talking about a band that never had a gold record, but they've got millions of fans all over the world. Tons of musicians talk about how great they are. That documentary that came out on them is one of the best rock documentaries I've ever seen, and there's some big names in there talking about Y&T. So there's obvious, and the fact that it is my biggest selling book tells me that there was an audience out there that was like, oh wow, did somebody write a book on Y&T? I love Y&T. So hopefully people do that with April Wine too, and one of the things that I wanted to do with this book, it's kind of funny, it's taken me 7 books to do a Canadian band because I am Canadian myself, but hopefully people go, I had no idea they had this many albums. I had no idea there was this much more, music
I had no
from
idea.
them
You
that I
said
haven't.
16
16
albums.
studio albums. Yep.
Are they a band that like stopped for like a decade and then came back? I don't know like their
So
history.
yeah, there's gaps. Yeah, there's definitely gaps. So there were no albums between 85 and 93, and then there were no albums between 94 and 2001, and then they put an album out in 2006, and that was it. So there's big gaps. Yeah.
Unlike
Yeah.
Y&T, who's never really stopped. They've been going for decades.
Well, they
But
still haven't put an
this
album out since 2010, and I really wish they'd put another one out
but
before it's all
they're
said and
still
done.
live. They're alive playing.
Oh yeah, they've
band.
never stopped. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They're still very active touring and yeah, for sure. But I'd still rather hear some new music from
I
Tim.
get lucky with Y&T because South Florida, no bands come down here in the level of Y&T. But
Yeah.
Y&T always headlines at the Miami Casino for the pre-cruise show.
Yeah.
So I've seen Y&T 3 freaking times there. I saw Y&T way back open for Twist Sister and Dokken in '84.
Yeah.
But I never saw. That was the only time I saw, the original Y&T.
Right. Yeah.
But they're still fucking amazing.
Yeah, Dave's the last man standing of the original band, and he's still doing it.
After he had some health problems though recently.
He did have some health.
Yeah.
Prostate cancer.
Yeah.
I got to meet him, man. I got to meet him at the hotel because we stalked him. I wanted to meet Medicetti.
Yeah.
And he's the coolest. He'll stand and talk to you and sign whatever you got. I mean, I met him. The first time I went to see him was when they first got back together. They'd taken a couple years off, and they got the band back together and started playing. It was in the early 2000s, probably about 2006 or something maybe. And they played up at Jack's in Virginia, and it was the original band except Joey. Joey Alves wasn't with them.
Okay, so it was Leonard,
Steph Byrne.
it was Steph Byrne. Okay, this must
Steph
have been
Burns
like
on
early
guitar.
2000s.
Yeah, it was around. Yeah, it was around like I want to say around 2006 maybe they played, and like I said, it was Leonard Hayes and Phil and Dave, and they did a little meet and greet afterwards, signed all your stuff, and the funniest thing, I brought some stuff to get signed, and I've got this promo copy of Y&T 10 on CD that's in a black jewel case. It's got a number 10 on it.
I got that too.
And they were signing it with a silver marker, and of course Leonard didn't play on that, but Steph Burns did. Leonard goes, "Wait a minute, I want to sign it anyway," and he wrote, "Unable to attend, Leonard Hayes." I was "That's awesome."
I had
one of the most underrated drummers in my opinion.
His foot,
fastest right foot. Yeah,
yes.
I had the privilege not only of talking to John Nyman and Aaron Lee, but I also interviewed a guy by the name of Darren Drew, who was Leonard's drum tech for many, many years. He actually sent me, if you guys can, over there in the corner, if you see where the Mean Street cover is, if you look
Yeah.
close enough,
Mhm.
there's a pair of drumsticks. Apparently, that was one of the last pair of sticks Leonard ever played before he stopped playing. So
Wow.
I've got those. So yeah, I
Nice.
talked to Darren about he worked with Leonard starting prior to Leonard going back to Y&T, and then after he had left Y&T again. So that was a great interview too. So yeah, I've done quite well around but I haven't met Dave yet, but maybe someday.
Leonard played in Ian Gillan's band for a
That's
little
right.
bit
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I also picked up, I found it for $5, and I haven't listened to it because I don't even have a turntable, but I found it for $5, that Rock Justice record that Mike
Oh
Varney
yeah.
did.
Yeah,
That's
the one
got
that
that's got
Phil,
that's got Leonard and Phil on it. Jeff Pilson's
yeah.
on it. Yeah, it's like this rock opera, and
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, why not? It's got half a Y&T on it.
Did you try to
Yeah.
get the book to Dave Manichetti? Did you like try to send
I
it to him
have tried to
somehow?
do that. Yeah, yeah. That
He's
I
he's
have.
got to have it. I mean, nobody else has written a book about him, so he's
Yeah.
got to have
I
it.
think his wife is his manager.
Yeah.
She could probably reach out to her.
So I know a guy I know named Jeff Keir, who was Y&T's webmaster for many years. I've known him since back in the Y&T fan forum days. I still chat with Jeff. He's in regular contact with Dave and Jill. They've been traveling, so you know. But yeah, I'm going to get a book. Like I sent Jeff a book to give to Dave, but Jeff hasn't seen him. But so it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And that's another thing here. The neck of the woods that I'm in, a lot of big shows don't come through here or don't come anywhere close to here. So, and Y&T is a band that I understand you have to go where the fans are. Like they couldn't play Atlantic Canada. They'd lose their shirts. There's fans, but there's not enough of us. The closest Y&T ever came to my area, and based on all of my research, is when they opened for Motley Crue in '85. They played in Portland, Maine, which I've been to shows there. That's like a 6-hour drive, uh, but yeah, they're one of my favorites. So yeah, there was a foregone conclusion that they were going to be in a book. So
I love Earthshaker. Earthshaker is my favorite one.
yeah,
The third album, but I own the first two too, Yesterday and Today.
yeah.
But
I just think there's such a high standard of quality. I think that the two independent albums they did in the '90s were really good. But I just they're one of my favorite bands. So
right on. All right.
This is
I
the
got
original Saga one, the other one.
yeah,
And then I got that one too. But that's signed by Michael Sadler there.
cool.
And then his son actually was playing with him too. His son signed it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I got to bring the Kansas book up again just to let you know. When I first received this, I went straight to Monolith because
Oh,
Monolith to me is so underrated and not really talked about much.
it's
And it
such a
was,
dark horse album, and I just love it.
yeah, it's an incredible album. I mean, coming from Leftover, Point of No Return, two big hits. That one I think it just went gold, right?
Yeah, it some say it went platinum, but it's probably close. If it was re-audited, it'd probably tilt the scale over to platinum, but it certainly didn't sell like Leftover and Point of No Return.
It's because it didn't really have hits, but
It didn't have, you can really see what a hit single will do for a record sales, right?
yeah. And
Um,
they did try to push people to Southwind
yeah.
back then on the radio, but that didn't last.
Those are some great early videos too. On the
Yeah,
Other Side and Away from
Reason,
You, Reason to Be. I love watching those primitive
yeah,
concept videos. Those are a lot of fun.
yeah, with the guy with the horns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reason to Be is a beautiful ballad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up there with Dust in the Wind. It could have been huge, and I
Yeah.
think it was a single, but it
It
didn't.
was a single. It has stalled at 52. It wasn't but yeah, I like the fact that it's such a dark album and they just put it out anyway. Like, it's got such strange, like How My Soul Cries Out for You. It's got some strange material, but I love it.
That is a
love it.
heavy
Yeah.
song.
Oh yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the middle section with
Oh,
the
the
screaming.
bar fight and the drum
Yeah.
solo, and
Oh,
it's nuts, but
God.
I love it. Yeah.
What and on the other side,
Yeah.
um, just the
Stay
whole
out of trouble.
Stay Out of Trouble is a
Yeah.
great one. Stay
Angels
Out
have
of Trouble.
fallen. Angels have fallen. Steve Walsh, I don't think ever sang better than he sang on
Yeah.
that Angels have fallen. One of the best vocalists. Yeah.
Stay Out of Trouble kind of reminds me of Mask, like earlier
Yeah.
chances,
Yeah.
that type of vibe.
I liked
But
Robbie's voice too. I liked his singing voice. It was a good contrast.
amazing. Robbie
Yeah.
Steiner,
Yeah.
just amazing stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
I did read the whole book, but I had to read Monolith first because not very talked about. Even when I go on YouTube,
Yeah.
it's hard to find anybody talking about Monolith. They're doing the whole discography. Where
Right.
on my channel, I did an episode just on
Yeah.
Monolith.
I love the Dark Horse albums, and they're more. I find them more fun to talk about because just like bands that nobody talks about a lot, you've got a lot to say because it hasn't been said a million times. So
Right.
it's like I've been dying to talk about this.
Yeah. And Mass, Song from America, the first Kansas, they're
Yeah.
all incredible
That's
albums.
just great. Just
It's just-
and yeah, to me, they're just one of the I love Freaks of Nature. That's a great album that nobody
Yeah.
talks about. It was independent, but yeah, good stuff.
audio visual.
you-
Yeah, all that stuff.
Have you guys do you guys have that Kansas box set? Was it called Sail On?
Yep.
It,
Yeah,
it's
it's got
got
the
a
DVD
DVD
with
it's
it
got
with some
the DVD with all the videos.
some,
Oh,
but not
I-
all of the videos.
If you have that, watch it with the commentary
Yes.
on because the band is talking about the videos. During like Fight Fire with Fire, I think Richard said they always made me wear a stupid hat.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
that suit he's wearing in the Point of No Return video.
Yeah, with the fluffy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get that. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah. It came out
Yeah.
2004.
What's
It's
it
like
called?
one of those
again?
It's just called here. I'll show you here.
Sail On. It's in a digibook, like a big long box, but a digibook.
I
Yeah,
need to
that's
get
the way it used to be. Probably find it cheap online.
The book
Yep,
style. Yeah, the
Wow, I've never seen that.
Yeah. It's actually I got this copy.
Somebody
off
out there
of
watching,
Discogs,
buy
and
that
it's
for Ralph.
signed.
Yeah, buy it for me.
wow.
So what is
Oh,
it?
wow.
Like, what is it like? 3 CDs and a DVD?
It's 2 CDs and a DVD. So, and it's pretty like it's as recent as far as the material on it. It's as recent as Icarus 2 from somewhere elsewhere on the CD. So, and it's
So
something
does it
from all the
have-
albums.
Does it have the Monolith videos?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the video is it's got the first 5 clips are all from Don Kirshner's rock concert. There's Can I
with
Tell
the-
You?
Yeah.
Journey from Mary Braun, Death of Mother Nature Suite, Icarus, Born on Wings of Steel, The Pinnacle. So then it's got videos for Point of No Return, Dust in the Wind, On the Other Side, People of the South Wind, Reason to Be, Away from You, Fight Fire with Fire. So they don't have Play the Game Tonight or Windows from Vinyl Confessions for some reason. And they don't have Everybody's My Friend, which is a video for. So they're missing a few. All I Wanted,
Oh, and
The
also-
Preacher. And
Also,
the-
no Carry On, right?
But the very last one is the very last 3 songs are The Preacher, Miracles Out of Nowhere, and Carry On Wayward Son from that Device Voice Drum DVD they put out in 2002.
All right, because there is a video for Carry On.
Yeah, and it's poor Robbie. He doesn't have a lot to do because there's no violin on that song, and he doesn't
Yeah, it's
sing in the lead
edited.
parts. Yeah,
Yeah, it is an edited video. Wow, I
Yeah.
need to buy that. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
it's pretty cool.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Any comments from the Peanut Gallery?
All people have been kind of just
all over the
talking
place.
about
Yeah.
different books and stuff. Yeah. Mean Metal Mike asked Tim, do you like Uriah Heep and any chance you got a favorite album by him?
It's funny that you should mention that. That's not a band that I had been that familiar with, but keep an eye on my channel.
So,
Yeah.
which is Tim's Vinyl Confessions on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take a wild guess where I got the name from.
Yet you don't own a record
Yeah.
player.
I don't. I did. I
So
have.
make sense out of that
I've
one.
got lots of records. Listen, I've got hundreds and hundreds of 8-tracks. I certainly don't have an 8-track player. I'm just a
I
collector.
do have an 8-track player, but I tell you, most of them when I have a pile of 8-tracks. You've seen what I've got, Tim.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of them when you stick them in the 8-track, the leader
Oh,
tape breaks.
it's tape spaghetti, or
Yeah,
yeah,
because
and
they're
Yeah,
dry
why
rotted.
would you? Yeah, I don't
yeah,
even want to play my cassettes because of
no,
that.
Go,
they're
I
go,
they're
have
go,
old demos and stuff. I don't want to fucking ever play them. It's like
going
they're
Yeah.
on
back,
YouTube. Why would I play them if they're on YouTube? Perfect sound.
going back to your 8-track book, Tim. Did you mention in that book Pink Floyd Animals?
You know, it's funny. I get asked about that all the time. And the truth of the matter is I was never much into Pink Floyd, but I do know what you're talking about, the Animals album.
Yeah, well, I don't
That
understand why they won't re-release that.
well, they
I
just
heard
did.
it was
So
coming out.
they've just they're putting out where
Compilation.
and it's called 8 tracks, and it's the first time that extended solo is released on a CD, I guess.
Oh wow, it's coming
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I've
what?
seen it advertised on Amazon, but I do get asked about that.
So
So I
that's
think
what
someone
pigs is it pigs on the wing?
pigs.
It's got
I think
extra.
that's
Yeah,
it's
It's
snowy,
that's a
snowy
snowy
white.
white.
Yeah,
Snowy
Yeah.
White. Yeah, Snowy White does the solo.
Yeah,
And
don't
when I was a little kid, I owned that 8-track.
yeah,
That when I finally got on vinyl, I was like, wait a second, because they
yeah.
cut it in half, the beginning and the end of the album. Where this one is all one with a solo in the middle. And I always I bought the Animals. What was it, 2018, which is
the
amazing.
box set.
It is
Oh,
really
no, the
strange
vinyl.
that a band that big, it's taken until now to.
Yeah, it makes
But
no
then again,
sense.
I mean, yeah, I was surprised. It was actually kind of uh, a happy coincidence last year when I was working on that my Fleetwood Mac book that they reissued the Buckingham Nicks album because that had been dormant for years. And I'm like, okay, the timing couldn't be more perfect because I've never heard it. So
Right.
Yeah.
In that
I wanted to ask
8-track
you
book,
about that too. Go ahead, Cam.
in that 8-track book, I was just wondering if you talked about at the end maybe about like new 8-tracks that have been coming out. Cause every now and again I'll see like a very limited run of like a fucking
yeah,
death metal 8-track.
the very well, Wayne's got a ghost shirt on there. They've got at least one. I do mention
Cheap
that at the
Trick.
very end of it. Yeah, cheap. Oh, there's an interview in my book with uh uh Kate from Kate's Track Shack, and there's all kinds of pictures of her with Cheap Trick because I think she helped with that release, the latest.
Yeah, it was the latest. Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty cool because an 8-track in 2009. The only one I've got newer than that is that Alice Cooper, the Live at the AstroTurf.
I got this is Savage Master, the
Yeah,
band
I
there on
remember
Shadow
you
Kingdom
had
Records.
something new. I remember you showed
They-
that once. That's
Yeah.
They only did made 50 of
50
these.
of
I
them.
think is
Wow.
what they said.
Wow.
I saw where that band that's really popular right now, Castle Rat, have done a reel to reel of their new album.
Oh
Wow.
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 That's
going
like the
way
next
back.
that's like the next frontier for me. I don't have any of those. And the reason I don't have any of those is I know myself too well. Because if I said, "Oh, I'll just get a couple," and they're so expensive, they haven't come down in price at all. And they
I've
probably
seen
won't.
Merciful Fate once, and I was thinking how much could they? They're
Oh,
probably worth
wow.
so much money.
Well,
But they're newer. They're not.
They're
old.
custom. They're custom
Yeah.
made. There's a couple
Yeah.
guys on Facebook that make custom made 8-tracks. I mean, so that way you can get master puppets from Metallica on
Right,
8-track
yeah.
and stuff.
And that's cool. I'm more interested in ones that actually were
The real ones.
available
Legit
to-
release.
yeah,
Legit
The
release.
legit, yeah.
If I like a band, like for example, Kansas, I've got Power on 8-track, which is as far as those went, which is
Columbia House, correct?
actually that one is RCA Music Service, which is the same
Record club,
idea, right? And then like Rush Power Windows, they went all the way up to Power Windows with 8-tracks, which not in stores, and that's the big difference, right? That's what I wanted to let
club.
people know. Is like I've never seen them. Well, so no, if you weren't in the record clubs, you wouldn't even know that they were available in that format, right? But like from 86 to 88, if you were a member of Columbia House, you had 4 choices of format. You choose vinyl, cassette, 8-track, or CD. Like to me, like finding out that 8-tracks and CDs coexisted for a couple of years is like humans and dinosaurs living together for a couple of years. It doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found.
Here's
Go ahead.
Well, here's a weird one here. This is Kiss Dynasty.
What the heck is on the cover? It's like a live shot.
Yeah, it's like from
Wow.
I guess the video shoot now.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I know a Kiss collector. This guy, he really knows his stuff. He knows serial numbers and shit. I sent
Yeah.
it to him, I go, hey, you know about this? He goes, yeah, that's a bootleg. This ain't official.
Oh.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
Well,
looks brand new. Like right away, I was thinking, God damn, that look like the ones that I have. They look like they've been in washing machines. or
So
something. They don't
here's one of my
look
prize 8-track possessions.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
wow.
Yeah.
84. That
So
must
this
have been the last year, right?
this is the last known Kiss 8-track. This is a Columbia House, and I'm
What year
missing
does it stop? What year does 8-track stop being like
88. They went
88?
all the
Holy
way.
shit.
They went. Hold on.
And in the
Wow.
book, in Tim's book, he lists everything that he could find that came out those years. And the
Sick.
majority of the record club stuff was country. Because and I
Yeah,
imagine a
a
lot
lot
of
of it.
country fans drove pickup trucks with 8-track players in
There's
them. So
truth to that, right? The one of my grails that I found was this.
Oh,
mhm.
This
wow.
came out in November of
Oh,
1988.
yeah.
Wow. That's one
I
of
mean,
the
it's a
last
greatest
ones.
hits, but it still didn't come out until November of '88. But for Kiss, I need Preachers and Lick It Up, and then I'll have all the Kiss 8-tracks.
So all the
Wow.
pictures in the book, are they all your collection? Your
A
all your
lot
8
of them
tracks?
are. A lot of them are. There's
It's
some
all
that
full
I have.
color.
I had a friend
I
of
gotta get
mine
that
Oh
book.
wow.
sent
Yeah,
that
this
sent
is
me
fucking
some
interesting.
some
Boston,
pictures.
third
Yeah, there's Third
stage.
Stage. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
like finding
that's
the first
fucking
two
cool.
Boston is not a big deal at all, right?
Yeah,
They're pretty
I've got
common.
them. Yeah.
Third Stage is the wild card. It's like Led Zeppelin. You could get all the Leds. You could go on eBay or Discogs right now and get all of the Led Zeppelin albums except Coda. That's
I
the.
can't believe nobody's made a book on this. Is there a volume 2 coming out? You're gonna do a volume 2 because you
I don't
gotta
know.
be
Well,
like, oh, I must have missed a million of other
I
ones,
you
like,
know
or people sending them to you.
I've kept track, and there's only about a dozen so far where either most of the time it's discovering titles that I previously didn't know existed, but there was one, if I did another edition of it, there's one that I'd have to take out because I found out that there was a retail version, and that's the Nazareth's live album Snaz that came out in 1981, because I actually found a retail version of it. So the only ones that I list in the book are ones that don't have any retail counterpart, and they looked way different. Like there was a big difference between the one you'd buy in a store than
Yeah.
something you'd get from Columbia's. The cassettes looked different too. They had just a different design to them.
I got a bunch that are like just the titles of the songs on it. There's no picture. I don't know
See,
if it fell off.
you could buy blank 8-tracks and record songs off the radio or dub albums just like you could with cassettes.
I think
No,
what
but they
he's
would be
referring
like
to, Tim,
printed.
is
They
the
were
ones
printed.
that had the slipcase. They had those printed slipcase covers, like those Y&T ones you have in your
Like
book.
this.
Yeah,
They,
okay, right,
and they, yeah, and
right.
it's a
The naked
printed.
8-tracks because
Well,
the slip.
yeah, and you pull the slipcases, and it's just the names of the
Right.
songs listed on the
Yeah.
sticker.
Oh,
That's
so
it.
that's
No,
what it is. It's
that's
like
exactly right.
I've
Yes,
never seen the slipcase.
because the
I get it.
slipcases would tend to get thrown away. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
awesome now.
Oh,
You got
yeah. So
those.
I
These
got
are
some of them.
So
these
That's
are
84 Columbia House. It's got the
yeah,
I
that's
frame
bought
around it.
I bought these at a record convention for 50 cents each. Still
Yeah.
sealed. They're
Yeah.
still sealed.
Wow.
so
Some
this.
Wow.
guy,
Deal. Holy shit.
some guy in a Rush Facebook group private messaged me. He's like, I'll give you for the both of them, I'll give you $600 for them.
Holy shit. Yo, a
Wow.
bunch of the
I would
ones
have
that I
had to
found,
sell
I don't
those.
got many of them, but
It's like-
the ones I found were like 50 cents, like, because it was 20 years ago. No one gave a fuck about them.
Right.
No,
I
this
was
is
just like,
but
wow,
this is
fucking.
this is 20, 25 years ago. I bought these sealed for 50 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a shit about any of that.
There you
Even
go.
records,
There you
even
go,
vinyl.
Count.
Yeah. So this isn't officially, this is not this, this is an official album. It's just that the artwork was all on the slipcase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when I had another copy of this, it was a little bit more beaten up and it didn't have the slipcase. Eventually I found this and Struck Down. And I think those are the only Y&T albums on 8-track, which is, well, I don't know why.
You remember the
because
cassette when they did cassettes like this in a plastic
I've
box?
Oh,
got
yeah,
I've
yeah.
got a bunch. I've
And
got
that
Muscle
it's
of
a
Love that
sticker.
looks like that. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've got
I had Iron Maiden only did Killers. Was it Iron Maiden Killers?
the first
and
three.
First
The
three.
first-
Because
yeah.
I had Number the Beast on 8-track once, and I sold it for like over $300. I bought it at a record
You
show
could get
one
it.
day for
You could
20
sell it.
bucks.
You could sell it for at least twice that now.
Yeah,
Only
I
the
mean this
first
was this
three.
was
Yeah,
this was 15
yeah.
years ago when I had it.
The
So
first three Iron Maiden are three of the most in demand, and none of those are record club only. Those were just retail Capitol Records 80, 81, 82. As far as I know, there aren't any past then. Now, I've seen people do their own versions of Peace of Mind and Power Slave, but they're not legit. But those first three are going to run you some bucks because
So does the book cover that? Is that's an important question? Does that book tell you like, okay, these ones now go for this much, or
I
like
don't get
you
into
go into?
pricing because that's too much of a
'Cause
variable.
it's always going to change too. If
It's
you read
always
it
going to
2 years
change, right?
later,
Yeah,
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 but
it'll
that'd
be
be
dated.
interesting to me to like,
yeah.
because I'd be going okay to eBay after each thing you put up and go, wonder how
Well,
much that is.
and then there are some that just don't come up. Like they exist, but no one's selling them.
Yeah, no
Like I
one's
said,
got it.
Creatures of the Night. It's actually easier to find Animalize than it is to find the two before it. Because I don't have Creatures of the Night or Lick It Up. Creatures of the Night only exists as a retail 8-track, and Lick It Up only exists as a Columbia House, as far as I
I
know.
remember
But
seeing it in the stores when it was new,
yeah,
I
and
got
the
double
Elder.
platinum. Double platinum is the only kiss.
Yeah.
but it just depends on it doesn't necessarily mean because you've got an 8-track from 87 or 88 that it's worth
Here's the
anything.
double platinum one.
Yeah, it depends on who it is, right? It
That looks
depends on how
brand new. Mine
collectible it
looks
is.
old.
Here's Budokan.
Yeah. The one Cheap Trick 8-track I need is Next Position, please.
Oh, that's probably a hard one to find too,
That's
man.
Columbia House only.
Yeah.
The funny thing too is back in the eight tracks heyday was they were being bootlegged like crazy. They're called like people refer to as truck stop
Truck stop
tapes
tapes,
because
yeah.
they would be bootleg versions, pirated versions of the albums, and it'd be like a generic cover,
Mhm.
it might be a barn with a horse, and it'd say country western, but it'd be like the best of Conway Twitty or
Yep.
Merle Haggard or something on
Well,
it.
yeah, anything you can
My
duplicate
dad
like
had
that.
tons of those.
Yeah, anything you could
Yeah,
duplicate like that, they would do it, right?
yeah. My dad had tons of those when I was a kid.
Back in the late 70s here in Hialeah, Florida, there was a store called the 8-Track Shack where all they sold was 8-tracks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, my first Kiss tape, Rock and Roll Over, I bought at a place here called Tape City. That was they only sold 8-track tapes in the front, and in the back was a head shop. Yeah. And
Nice.
I went in there at 8 years old and got that first Kiss record, first
Awesome.
Kiss tape. And there was mostly bootlegs in there, but this was actually the real tape. This was a real
Yeah, I got Rock and
manufacturer.
Roll Over on 8-track. I have a
Yeah.
couple.
I wonder if there's any thought to like how many were made and sold to how many were just thrown the fuck away because at one point people were like, there's no need
Well,
for these. No,
I
they didn't have
know.
them in the car
Oh,
no more.
tons were
They didn't have a
probably
player in the car no more. Everybody got
Right.
cassettes. It happens
Yeah.
for everything, I think. People threw
Yeah.
away their
Yeah,
cassettes.
it's the
I
format
remember with
change.
VHS, like I couldn't even give
VHS.
away old
That's right.
movies because no one
Yeah.
even wanted
Hell,
VHS.
Beta.
I had doubles of it. I couldn't give
Bait,
it away.
yeah.
Beta tapes are the
Laser
worst.
discs. Like anytime
Is
you
there
had to
any
deal with
thought
a
of
format
that to how
change.
much, why so much, they're worth so much now? Because so many of them must be lost compared to how
That's
they
Yeah.
it.
were produced.
They're very rare. Eight
I have,
tracks too. The 8-track format was very flawed,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
people carried them in their car, and they get hot, and they don't last.
yeah,
Yep.
They
and
get
they and
chunk.
they
The covers get worn out
When you
on
find
them.
them new, they're used, they're beat the fuck up. So for
Yeah,
Al to have those ones sealed like that's
Yeah.
gotta be.
Yeah,
these
dude,
are
these are pristine, man.
these are in really good condition.
Yeah.
Double
Yeah. If you
platinum.
can
Oh,
find
I
I was surprised to find Animalize. It's got hardly any bubbling on the label.
Yeah,
There's a
Mhm.
little bit you want to see a few flaws on them because that lets you know it's legit. If it looks
right.
too perfect, it's a fake. Don't
like
if it's
the
somebody
one
selling
that Al showed earlier, right? The one that he showed that he said was a bootleg.
And I got
Somebody
this
showed it.
one with the Casablanca slipcase.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got a
Yeah.
couple that have the Casablanca. Well, yeah, I mean, if it's one thing if it's got a different cover on it, but if it looks real, but there's no bubbling on it and there's no like sun damage or probably it's not legit. You have to be, it's just like anything, you have to be careful with it, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
bands that are collectible, if they have 8-tracks, those are going to be collectible, right? Because you're not just dealing with 8-track collectors, you're dealing with Kiss fans, and we're crazy. So
That's it.
Yeah, in the
And you got
early '90s,
the
in the
kid.
early '90s, I had a whole stack of Beatles fucking
Yep.
8-tracks, and I knew a guy that was a huge Beatles fan. He was like he was in a great thrash metal band and stuff, but like Beatles was his favorite band, and I just thought it would look cool, like in his practice place.
Oh, yeah.
Just a stack of Beatles, so I gave them to him. Not, and they're the ones that when I was a kid growing up, my brother had the little thing that Tony had actually has like the exact same thing as my brother had when I was a kid. He had the little boombox kind of thing. It was an 8-track with one fucking speaker, and it was
Yep.
like you would walk around with it, and that was our
TNT.
8-track player. We didn't have like
Oh,
a
it was
stereo to put
at
it
the
in.
thing. It was like a plunger, or you had
Yeah,
to,
the
it was just
Panasonic
like-
Yeah.
TNT.
yeah,
Yeah, you would hit down. It had like a little
Yep.
thing you would hit, right?
yeah. Oh, it's a strange format in the way it worked. And see,
Here
what
you
happened
go.
was
There
there
it
you
is.
go. Yeah,
That's it. That's
there
the
you
one.
go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
used to
the
have that same thing, but in red.
Yep.
yeah.
it was actually
Um,
my brother's, and he kept it. He also had a whole bunch of Rolling Stones that I gave to a Rolling Stones fan because I just had no use for them, and they would just get dust in my house.
Yep.
Now I look back and I'm like, fuck, I would love to have them all back.
it's it's just one of those things, because I know that when it's by the late 80s, people couldn't give them away, right? Like they were, and if you did collect them, they were absolutely
Even in
dirt
the
cheap.
2000s, I found them in boxes for 50 cents a piece, but they were none of them looked like great condition. They just looked like
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Just bought it
People
50
sell them on
cents. I bought
Marketplace.
them.
People put them
I
on
got a Cheech and Chong.
Marketplace.
I got a
and
Cheech and Chong one on for 50 cents, but I don't have one finally.
people will sell a box album on Marketplace. They're asking $100 for a whole box album, and most of them are country, and it's just good luck getting it.
Yeah.
King from Deceased had like an insane collection, right? Remember his
Yeah,
collection?
he's got a.
I think
he's
he's
got
been
a massive.
selling them throughout.
Yeah, I
don't know,
got a
think
few
he might have
from
been
him.
selling them.
I know.
Yeah,
I
he's
know.
got-
King got the first made in
Yeah,
track.
recently, yeah.
Seen him show
Yeah.
that.
And just even in 19, just the idea of it, something that heavy on that format with that artwork, like it's nuts, right? It's like this
Yeah.
shouldn't.
If you ever do a volume 2, you should get in touch with King from Deceased, King Fowley from Deceased. He had
Yeah, he's got.
thousands of them, and the
got
boxes were
tons.
like perfect. They were like
Yeah,
perfect.
He's got Sabbath, Born Again, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
crazy.
that's the last known Sabbath one. Yeah, like I mean, anything really heavy like that is going to be in demand. Like Ozzy and Maiden and Priest, any of those ones that were, that weren't just rock ones. Those are the ones that are
Especially if they
special.
got the sticker on them. The ones that got the sticker, they got to be more like if they got like the album cover on it instead of.
Oh
just,
yeah,
like,
I mean they got to be in
without the
good
slip
shape, right?
cover.
Yeah.
Well, even if they're not in good shape, because I'm not going to play them. So I'm not
Right.
worried. Even if the tape isn't fucking in there no more, I don't care. I just want the fucking little thing, because I'm not going to
Yeah.
play it ever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
some of them that just have the fucking song titles and no picture of the album. To me, if I see the album cover on it, to me that's worth more. Because you kind of like.
Oh,
display it
absolutely.
kind
Now
of,
some had the slip cases that had the artwork on the slip case and the tape, but most of the time it was, I don't know why some labels did that more than others, but I don't even know where I was going with that.
That's just an interesting thing about this, like the whole thing with H-Track. That's a great book to fucking write it. I could totally see a part 2, and you could probably go on and on with this. That's
Well,
fucking cool.
There's
I'd
tons
have
of Facebook groups about 8-tracks and
yeah, and
it's
that's
like
and I
people are
use
really into it, man.
yeah. Yeah,
You
and
get a
people are
lot of
hardcore
feedback
about
from
buying
other
them
people.
and buy them and restore the players and restore the tapes. I haven't got that kind of energy, but I respect it a lot. The
Oh,
people
yeah.
that listen to stuff but I mean, I'm at the point now, I bet you there's probably less than 30 titles that I'd be looking for on 8-track, and I'll probably never find them because there's some of those record club only ones, and they are so ridiculously scarce that they just won't come, or if they did come up, I just can't have, I saw an AC/DC Who Made Who
What's
come
your
up, and it
holy
was
grail? What's the holy grail?
okay. Well, you're
8-track for
probably
you?
gonna laugh, but the first Bon Jovi album.
What about you said Who Made Who was how much?
It was like $600 starting, and it was the bidding were going, because
For
I've got
Who
all the
Made Who?
AC. Yeah, I've got all the
Wow.
AC/DC except Fly on the Wall and Who Made Who. I've got Flick of the Switch is the only one I've got that wasn't released to retail, unless you count like the Australian ones, which are even, that's another thing because they were only released in Australia, like TNT.
Yeah.
But no, the first Bon Jovi album exists on 8-track, and
I'd like to have that too.
I'd like to have it, but that's definitely one of my grails. Yeah. And the two Kiss ones are for sure. Aerosmith Done with Mirrors, I'd like to have. That's the only Aerosmith I don't have.
Wow.
It's cool. Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You know,
like I never thought about what would be my holy grail of an 8-track, but I'd like to think about that. If we ever revisit this subject, I'll think about it.
Deicide.
Yeah, no, I
on
would
8-track.
want something that came out back in the day. Like what?
Iron Maiden,
I mean,
probably.
it would have to be like, I don't know. It'd have to be a Sabbath album.
Yeah, I like
Sabbath.
Sabotage.
Yeah,
Sabotage.
Sabotage.
That would be
See, any
cool.
of the
reality
70s,
with
the Sabbath
cover.
ones wouldn't be that hard to find on eBay or Discogs. You could probably work on a Sabbath 8-track collection from the debut all the way up to maybe even Mob
Yeah.
Rules.
So you're thinking
But-
more
yeah.
of like something that's rare, like
Yeah,
Bon
Born
Jovi
Again.
at that year.
Yeah,
they
ones
wasn't
that
making
were
that
not-
many.
82,
That's right.
83, 84.
Yeah, they're not making
80
that many.
83 is there were like 6 8-tracks that were released to retail. The rest were all just record club
Wow.
only, right? So it's in that time period. So 83,
So
88.
you said it goes to 88. So how many
Yeah.
was released in 88? How
Not
many
many.
was
There's
in
like 2
88?
dozen.
Only
at the-
record clubs
yeah,
count.
only
Only
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting shit, dang it.
With that
It's a great
cheap trick
subject.
that cheap trick that you mentioned that came out what probably 15 years ago, was
2009.
it? Yeah, 2000. Okay. That one, if I remember reading an article about that because they said Cheap Trick has the #1 selling 8-track in the country right now. And I think they were manufacturing them. It was a lot of people buying them to have classic cars that have 8-track players in them, and they look for 8-tracks to play, and that was
Yeah.
the
I
newest thing.
I knew somebody who did exactly that. He had a fucking 8-track player,
Yeah.
and they said it kept eating all the tapes. Every tape you put in there.
Oh, it's a weird technology, and yeah, you got to really
Yeah.
work on them a lot. You got to clean them, and you got to take them apart, and you got to put new felts in them, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And the players too. I mean, this is old tech, right? Really, really old tech. Now, one thing that man, I'm getting tired. But anyway, one thing that I've got a picture of in the book that happened was that, remember they had the adapters. It was shaped
was gonna
like an
bring that
8-track, but it had a cut
Krakow.
in it. You could lay a cassette in it, put it in your 8-track player,
That's
and it
how
would
my
play a
friend's.
cassette.
That's how one of my friend's car was like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it was still
me
the
too.
tapes that were just the tapes would just break in them somehow,
Yeah.
like when it was playing. But that's exactly how he had that
Yeah.
set up in his old.
That was
cars.
one way to deal with the format
Yeah,
change.
my
But I mean,
first car was a 76 Toyota Corona, and it had an 8-track player in it, a realistic 8-track player, which is the
Yeah.
Radio Shack brand.
yeah,
And
that's right.
I would play, I had some 8-track tapes that I would play in it, but then I got one of those Krakow 8-track converters. The name of the
Mhm.
company was Krakow, and you
Yep.
put your cassette in it and play it. But there was always the trick too. You had to, when you played an 8-track tape, you had to stick a book of matches up in there to keep it from popping out if you hit a speed bump or a pothole or something. The tape would come
Or-
shoot out of it.
Or from hearing 2 songs at the same time. That was another reason you had to steady it. Yeah, it was a weird.
The head would be in the wrong position and it would be playing 2 songs at once.
The tape, I don't know if you can tell, but like that's not very wide, that
Mhm.
tape. But divide that in 4. That's each like a length of that. That's, or the width of that. That's a program. So it's just, if the head's off like this, no wonder you get 2 songs at the same time. It's a weird technology. It really is. And the song
Wow.
titles are usually mixed up.
My friend that had it in his car, he had like the section in like by the gear shift where you were supposed to put 8-track tapes. It was like already there. He
Yeah.
didn't even know what it was there for.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then he
That's
started
right.
collecting the 8-tracks to put in there. He
Yeah.
kept saying every time I try to play them, the tape falls apart.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
get stuck
that's
in there
right.
and he pull it out.
I used to have an 8-track recorder.
Yeah.
That
We
I still
did
have
too.
I still have
We
to this
did.
day. I recorded Ozzy Osbourne on King Biscuit Flower Hour on 8-track, and I still got that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother had one. Yep.
Just for the hell of
Yeah,
it,
the
I went on
recorders.
eBay to look to see what was the highest selling 8-track, and it was the Beatles 20 greatest hits. I guess it was brand new. It was $1,650.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Beatles collectors are something else, right? That's another.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ralph,
I
I
had
think
a
Ralph
huge
was
Worst
stack.
kicking
kiss
himself in the
collector.
ass right now.
I had a huge stack because my mom was born in Liverpool. She just turned 87 yesterday, actually. Happy birthday, Mom. But
Awesome.
wow.
Birthday
Awesome.
she
count, Ralph.
fucking she came from England, from Liverpool, and she says she's seen him as the civil blues. Everybody who's ever been in Liverpool around that time had seen him, even though they played in little pubs that held 50 people or whatever. But um yeah, so when we were kids, that was the first stuff we had. My mom had the Beatles, like, and she had she bought my brother the 8-track player, and she bought him a whole bunch of Beatles, and she bought some Rolling Stones, but she didn't like the Rolling Stones. She thought they were like evil and stuff, and then getting the Kiss one for me was the first one I ever got, was double platinum. And yeah, this is great talking about 8-tracks. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I got to read that book. That's gonna be great.
Great.
Well,
Yeah.
well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, this was great. This is
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
man. Thanks a
really
lot,
cool.
man.
Love to have
Cool
you
hang.
back on again. in the
Anytime.
future.
Where can people go and get your book? Just Amazon or you
Yeah,
have a
if you go
website?
to go to Amazon, or if you go to timsvinylconfessions.com, that's just my link tree. And it's got a link to each of my books, but they'll just take you to Amazon. So if you go on Amazon, type in Tim Durling, my books should all come up.
All right, cool.
And where you can also find his books is in the description on this video. I'm going to put a link down there. So
Smart
check
move.
it out and order. So thanks again, Tim. And thank
Oh,
you,
thanks,
all you
man.
almost humanoids and all the viewers and Al Horta.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And this was a lot of fun. Till next week. We don't know. What are we doing next week? Do we have anything planned?
I will be here next week. I'll be at Monsters on the Mountain in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So I'll be
Sony
there.
will be here next
He will
week.
be here. Yeah.
I will be here. I will be here. That's right.
All right, guys. Till
Well,
next week.
Wayne didn't do a bald. He's supposed to be doing a bald
We'll
favorite.
do that
favorite.
when Tony comes back next week.
Okay, but Richard, I told him to make one. He made one for
Concept album.
concept albums. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and I just got to draw it up. But you got to get your baldy one in.
Well, I did. I
Well,
gave
yeah.
you all the people like a month ago.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, did we talked about this? You have just as
Right.
good as memory as Ralph does, I guess.
No, you didn't.
I'll redo it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
All right, guys. Till next week. Again, thank you again, Tim. Been a
Oh, thank
pleasure.
you, Ralph. This
Yeah,
was
it was a
great.
lot of fun. Really
Cheers.
Thank
cool.
you very much. Nice.
All right,
Nice
guys.
meeting
Till next
Wayne,
week.
Count.
Hey,
Nice
good
meeting
meeting
you
you too. I
guys.
sent you a
Tony,
friend
Al,
request
always
on
a pleasure.
Facebook.